I'd like to welcome everybody to the Finance Committee edition of the City Council meeting. Before we begin, Madam Clerk, if you would please call the roll.
Councillor Kane, Councillor DeBona, Councillor Finn, Councillor Harris, Councillor Hughes, Councillor LaForest, Councillor Liang, Councillor Palmucci, Chairman Croall.
Present.
We have a quorum.
We indeed have a quorum. Before we begin, I would just like to read into the record the open meeting law, which is as follows. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting and may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present, and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. And obviously we're here this evening for a very well-attended public hearing. Before we get into the public comment period, I'd just like to sort of share with the group, because I know that folks in the audience have reached out to me over the summer, and whether it was in an individual meeting, an email, or a telephone call, have inquiries regarding the capital improvement plan and why the City Council hadn't acted on it this past session before we went into summer break. And it prompted me to do a little fact finding. I knew that we were busy, but from April of last year until about mid-June, the City Council, took into consideration 28 spending orders, roughly in about 10 weeks, to the tune of about $465 million. So I only share that with you because I know it was busy, but those are sort of the numbers that backed up in terms of where we were. And, obviously as the custodians of the taxpayers of the City of Quincy, we all take great pride in, analyzing the information, being deliberate in our deliberation, and obviously, casting votes in a manner that reflect the people that, we represent. So I wanted to publicly thank the Finance Committee for your hard work this past session. And with that, this is a public hearing. We do have, we have to recess right about 7:20. So each individual will be afforded 2 to 3 minutes to speak, whether it's in favor, opposed, or undecided to the plan presented before us. Our friend Jennifer Manning will keep us all on track with the 2 to 3 minute time rule. I'll give you a wave, 30 seconds, approaching 3 minutes. And with that, if you could maybe just form a line so that we can, hear from everyone and keep things kind of, trekking along. So with that, by the way, if you're maybe a little, you don't want to get in front of the microphone, there is sign-in sheets available at the back of the room to sign in favor, opposed, or undecided. Obviously, the choice is yours. So with that, I would like to open the public hearing and invite folks to the microphone. And if you could, before you express your comments, just state your name and your address, please, for the record. So the microphone's open. Correct. The orders that are before us, right, which is the capital improvement plan, which would include the public buildings, the animal shelter, the traffic and parking improvement plan, the St. Mary's acquisition, as well as the community preservation, funding for the playgrounds. Good evening, Chuck.
Through you to the rest of the City Council. My name is Chuck Phelan. I'm the IT Director for the City of Quincy. I live at 298 Fennell Street in Quincy. I'm up here to talk about a particular part of the capital improvement plan that I'm involved with, which is the technology piece. And would like to, I'll read down the items. One of the items, the first item is for police and fire radios. There are obviously police and firemen in the audience that could speak more on it than I can, but basically the items that we have before you are to replace handheld units that are more than 10 years old that were originally bought through a Homeland Security grant, but a lot of that money now at this time is dried up. We've got as many as we can from it, and they require both. There's a number required by both the police and fire. We've exhausted all the money we can at the federal level, So it's vital for them to do their work on this. We'll be going in with all the towns in the Metro Boston area to get the best price. But I'll just make that statement and leave the rest to the police and fire. They can speak on it better than I can. In it, there's also a $200,000 cost for a new email system for the city. We currently have more than 2,000 users on our email every day. We are required by law, by the public records law, to maintain and archive all those emails that come in whenever there is a public records request. We receive literally hundreds of thousands of emails every single day. The current system we have is over 10 years old. A lot of the new things that have come along have come after that system was put in. So we are looking to upgrade it. It would also allow us to get updated enterprise licenses for Microsoft Office, which is the predominant software package used in all of our cities. So along with the email would also come the enterprise license for Microsoft Office. Going down, there's also $35,000 for technology needs and assessment. And some people said, why would you need something like that? We have you. The IT is a dramatic and changing environment. We're also coming to a point where a lot of the people in my department will be retiring. There'll be a lot of retirements coming up in the next year to 2 years. So there is a need to chart the course on where we need to go for information technology into the future and where we need to be 5-10 years from now. Probably 5 years is a more realistic thing, and that's where we're looking to be. There's $200,000 for integrated asset and infrastructure management software. We'll be looking to do software where we actually take pictures of all the streets and roads in the city. There's a technology out there that will go out and actually run and give you an upgrade and tell you where all the roads are. Also, would include software for public buildings, so we can track our buildings. We can know what the condition of them are. We're spending a lot of money on them, so that would also be included in that asset management and infrastructure management software. There's also a thing to add a layer onto our GIS, which would inventory all the trees in the city. If you go down anywhere in the city, you see there are a ton of trees. One of the things with maintenance is keeping up on them. And that's basically what I have. And to keep up with the 3 minutes, I'll cut it there. I'll always, as obvious, I'll be available to any council if they have any questions or anything like that. Okay, thank you.
Continue that part of the program, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Pleasure. Good evening.
Good evening. There are 3 things I feel very strongly about that we as citizens should do. Take care of the children. They are our future. Take care of the senior citizens. This great country was built on their backs. Take care of the animals. They did not ask to be born and are at the mercy of humans. In my opinion, we have to act now. If we don't, it will eventually become a board of health and police matter. Animals need to be spayed, neutered, given shots, or we could very soon become overrun with animals. I have been a proud volunteer at QAS for 4 years. In that time, I have seen the best and the worst of humans. There was a slogan. I'm not sure who I can give credit to, but what it says, and every time I walk into the shelter, I think of this: never have so few done so much with so little. Our volunteers are amazing. Animals get dropped off in all kinds of conditions. With love and patience, they are taught to walk on a leash, taught basic commands, and our fantastic adoption team work on placing them with a good fit. My mission in life now is to speak for those that cannot speak for themselves. Yes, we just heard the city needs so many things out there, but we need to care for the animals. They need your help now. Please move to build a new shelter. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. May I just have for the record your name and address, please?
Nancy Reed. I live in Broad Street, Weymouth.
Thanks, Nancy. Michael, good evening.
Good evening. My name is Mike Palazzo. I reside at 86 Alton Road, Ward 2, Precinct 5. I've been on the Quincy Fire Department for the past 14 years or so, and I'm currently the elected president of the Quincy Firefighters Association, Local 792. And I stand before you to respectfully request and urge the City Council to vote in favor of the capital improvement plan as it relates to the city's fire department. About 4 years ago, the city formed the Firehouse Building Committee, where representatives from this union, management of the fire department, and the building department, and also the mayor's office worked together to discuss certain issues regarding our firehouses. This bond is the outcome of those meetings. This bond addresses structural integrity to the city's fire stations. Items such as columns, girders, floors, walls, ceilings, and roofs, all of which, as we know, hold the building up. The firehouses in the city average about 75 years old. When they were designed, they weren't intended to hold the weight that they hold now. For example, years ago, fire trucks weighed approximately 20,000 pounds. Today, an average fire truck weighs about 60,000 pounds. Also, there has been an advancement in technology for equipment, such as the Jaws of Life and other life safety tools that we use as firefighters on a daily basis. Throughout time, this weight adds inevitable stress to our firehouses. The cracks in the floors where the fire trucks are kept and exposed rebar and concrete located in the basements are obvious signs to the stress. These buildings structurally need to be reinforced. Roofs at the stations are leaking when it rains. Water can be destructive, as we all know, when it's not controlled. Not only does it damage the ceilings and the walls of a building, but also, unfortunately, provides an avenue to mold. We also have asbestos in some of the firehouses that must be removed. This bond highlights that removal. Parking lots need to be repaved. Windows, gutters, downspouts need replacing, all of which this bond addresses. Now, I must say, are the stations so bad where we can't work in them and you're going to have to put us out in trailers on the streets? No. But possibly that may happen if these are not addressed. Either we pay now from this bond to fix these issues, or we as a city are going to be paying a lot more money down the road. On behalf of the Quincy Firefighters Association Local 792, I'd like to thank Mayor Koch and his administration for presenting this capital improvement plan to the city. And we would also like to thank you, our councilors, for not only the support you've shown us as fire department, but what you do for the city each and every day. We respectfully request and urge you to vote in favor of this capital improvement plan tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Paul Bergoli. I live at 80 Willow Ave, and I'm currently the vice chair of the Quincy School Committee. I'm here this evening to address my colleagues in government and urge you to cast a favorable vote in the on the capital improvement plan, particularly as it applies to the school department. I want to highlight a few of the projects which will move forward with your approval. One of the items in the buildings section is chillers at North Quincy High School. There are two on the roof, and they regulate the air to the inside rooms and offices which have no windows. There are supposed to be two in operation. Right now, one is not working, and one is working at 50% capacity. They are an integral part of the ventilating system at the school. It regulates the airflow from being too hot or too cold. Currently, the air quality is not meeting Department of Education requirements. The bleachers in the gymnasium, they're over 40 years old. It's a public safety issue. The rails are not stable. People can't hold on to them when they walk up the bleachers. The bleachers themselves, which are used as stairs to get up to the top, are too narrow. They don't meet code. Bleachers are not handicap accessible. And in general, they're a public safety hazard. Carpeting at North Quincy High School is the original. It's 40 years old. In some areas, it's worn down to the plywood. It's come up so that you can trip and fall in some places. And despite cleaning, the carpet actually smells in some places. The entire building at North Quincy High School is underlit. It now requires 9% of the entire electric bill for the city of Quincy, only superseded by Quincy High School at 10%. It's part of this capital improvement plan to redo the lighting in the building, and the savings would pay for the change. And finally, asbestos removal. Schools do have asbestos in them, and we need a systematic planned removal of it. It's in the tiles and around pipes. Not a current danger, but something that should be addressed. And asking again this evening, we work together. We can't work without you and the school department. And I'm hoping that you will see your way to approve the capital improvement plan this evening. Thank you.
Hold our applause till the end so we can just sort of keep folks coming. Well, it's great, but, just good evening.
Hi, good evening. My name's Tina Cahill, and I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Quincy, 51 Greenwald Road. I'm also a proud member of the Thomas Crane Public Library trustees. And I'm here tonight to not speak specifically about the budget, but in favor of the capital improvement budget. And I want to thank you for allowing us to get up here and share our remarks. I've had the pleasure of working with Megan Allen over the years at the library, and I can tell you that she is fiscally conservative and very conscientious when it comes to allocating the funds that are appropriated to the library. And she always does that, and any appropriation or projects that she is submitting to the capital improvement plan are projects that she has the library's mission and its patrons, their best interests always in mind. And I feel that I'd like to impress upon you that the capital improvements projects that she has submitted are projects that are meant to maintain the library's facilities, and each and every one of them, if addressed, will protect the library's buildings from further disrepair and from further added cost. As we all know, that we need to invest in our facilities in order to maintain them. Just like every home and every building, new or old, we need to give them TLC in order to preserve their structural and cosmetic integrity. So as I'm standing here in this beautiful building, I see that the money we invested in refurbishing and bringing this building back to its original structure, we see that we will never regret spending money on the facilities in our city, and that the city constituents, we all deserve, and the buildings deserve to have the attention and the investment of the capital improvement budget. So I'm just here to ask you to please vote in favor of the improvements that were submitted to you on behalf of the library. Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bill Griffin, and I am, like Tina Cahill, a member of the Board of Trustees at the Thomas Crane Library. I live at 50 Jeunesse Street, and I'm here to speak in favor of the capital improvement plan. Just a couple of items specifically related to the library. The carpeting in the main library is something that's been proposed any number of years in the past and never seems to make the cut. And it's the library's definitely in need of, and desperately in need of, new carpeting. And also, I was at a wake the other day, and I walked over to say hi to somebody I had known for many years, and before I even got a chance to say hi, she said to me, "Are you still on the library board?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "You've got to do something about the air conditioning at the Adams Shore Library." And like the carpeting at the main library, the Adams Shore branch has definitely been in need of air conditioning. In past years, we've had to close the library on any number of days in the summer because it's just too hot to be inside there. And that just denies the patrons the services that they deserve. So clearly the air conditioning unit at the Adams Shore Library is in need of replacement desperately. And so those were two items out of many that I would urge you to support in terms of this capital improvement plan. Thank you very much.
I'm Diane Dopp. I live at 29 Albany Street in Quincy. I am the president of the Friends of the Thomas Crane Public Library, but I'm here to speak as a library patron and urge the council to approve funding requests on the capital improvement plan for the wonderful library. As Bill and Tina both said, these are long overdue critical maintenance tasks that must be addressed as soon as possible. Definitely the carpeting at both of the main libraries held together by duct tape in places. You can trip on it. North Quincy has asbestos tiling and dead old carpet, and the historic, beautiful Richardson building is suffering from visible, significant roof leaks that's affecting the interior of the building. And as Bill also said, the Adams Shore Library hasn't had air conditioning in over 6 years. That's pretty tough, especially for younger and older patrons. The list goes on, but I won't, so that other people can speak. But I do urge you to approve the request for our library buildings. You know, the Thomas Crane is such a vital part of the lives of the people of Quincy, and we owe it to our community and, you know, to our kids and future generations to maintain these beautiful historic buildings. So please, thank you.
Bonnie Ashworth, 359 Belmont Street. I'm also a member of the Friends of the Library, and I'm here to speak in favor of the capital improvements projects for the library, which is such a valuable asset. Many people use it, and it's reflected in its lived-in look. If you look at the list of items, you'll see that they're necessary maintenance items. They aren't luxury items. These items aren't going to go away if they aren't taken care of. They're just going to get worse. So I'm asking you to fund the projects to protect the asset, and we'll all enjoy a safe and comfortable and not shabby-looking facility.
Good evening. My name is Betty Malloy, and I've lived in Quincy for over 55 years. I've been a patron of the library, and in the last 10 years, I've been involved with the Friends of the Library, being past president from 10 to 14. In that capacity, I was able to observe other facets of the library. And I have seen it evolve from a place just to borrow books and videos to a place of gatherings. The people from children, the babes, to seniors like myself gather at the library to attend cultural events, to listen to educational programs, and listen to the concerts and the wonderful programs that are provided there. I consider the library as a cultural center of the city. We do not have any center like that. And the activities and the people who attend we just offer wonderful services to the city of Quincy. So I ask you, please, to do the right thing. I ask you to pass this program and see that the library is repaired, maintained, and upgraded. Thank you for all the work that you do.
Hi, my name's Brianna. I'm the Feline manager over at Quincy Animal Shelter. I'm obviously in favor of a new shelter, a new canine training, and a new animal control office building. But it's really hard to understand what we truly need without being behind the scenes of the shelter. There's an obvious space issue, which makes it very difficult to help the community. I have a surrender list that can go on for days if we don't have enough space. And then we have cats that get sick because we're stressed out from the constant dog barking, so that just adds on not being able to help out the community. And I could go on for an hour explaining the reasons why we've outgrown our current building, because there are many, many reasons. But I wanted to actually talk about a reason that you might not be familiar with. Not only does the shelter help the animals in the community, but it also helps the volunteers that come through the door. We all come from different walks of life, but we spend our spare time helping these homeless pets, and every volunteer has a different backstory, but we all have similar experiences that these pets are actually helping us more than we know. It's a place that brings a sense of being part of a family and doing something concrete to help Quincy and the residents, both 2- and 4-legged. And I personally had a very great life change when I came to the shelter about 3 years ago. I was in a really bad place, lost hope, broken faith, and as time went on at the shelter, I really began to open up, and I received support and friendship from the whole community at the shelter. I got confidence from all of my leaders, and especially the director, Kit, who actually molded me into the role of the Feline manager, and I couldn't be more proud of myself. And sorry, I went a little off topic. It's a whole 2 to 3 minute page or thing. But we have at least 150 volunteers, and all of our backstories are different, and we all have special needs, different heartaches, different pains. But when we all come to the shelter, whether it be for our volunteering shift or an event, there's definitely a sense of camaraderie, and all of our stuff seems to kind of go away when we're cuddling the animals and playing with them. So it's really important. Just to cut it short, I'm just asking that you please say yes to a new shelter, that you please say yes to giving our animal control officers a bigger space, because they do handle all of the situations regarding animals that most of us could not do, and to say yes to our brave canine officers and their handlers, because they're like our first and best defense against all of the drug rates, pricing, and all that. Yep, and that was really awkward at the end, but thank you for your time and your consideration.
Good evening, Councilors. Trombos, Cove Way. I've been a Quincy firefighter for 17 years. Been a rep for Local 792 for 16 of those. I speak tonight to urge the Finance Committee to move forward with the Mayor's proposed CIP and ultimately pass it as a City Council. In the spring of 2014, realizing there was an issue with station conditions, the Koch administration formed a committee to address some of the concerns of the Quincy fire stations. I've sat on this committee as a union representative since its inception. This committee has met once every month or two to try and address concerns at these stations that exist when they arise. A lot of times, fixes are able to be done by the Quincy Building Maintenance Division, who has done a great job. Gary Cuniff, Paul Hines, Mike Monahan, Kevin Murphy, and their crews have done an amazing job in recent years with limited available funding to try and keep the stations functioning, open, and in working condition. Unfortunately, as the committee has continued to meet in the last year or so, it has become apparent that a lot of the fixes are beyond the capabilities and funding of the maintenance division, and some of the stations are going to require some serious infrastructure work. The average fire station in the city of Quincy is 75 years old, with one station being over 100 years old and several stations pushing the 90-year mark. The stations are old, tired, and the bones of the stations are worn out. In recent years, we have seen major water leaks in stations, apparatus floors that are crumbling, heat and AC systems failing, raw sewage backing up onto the main floors of stations. These are just a handful of the issues that have become major problems in recent years. Expensive new fire apparatus are getting weathered in bays due to holes in roofs and are in danger of falling into basements due to structurally unsound floors that are cracking and crumbling, some being held up by steel floor jacks in the basement. Most stations have water damage on the interior, which we fear could lead to mold and respiration problems for our members if not addressed. A lot of the proposed work in front of you would tighten up these buildings and make them weather tight. It is pointless to address interior problems such as painting and redoing water-damaged walls and ceilings unless the leaking roofs, windows, masonry repairs, and gutters are addressed. Other issues we hope to see addressed are things like temperature control systems, so our members don't have to worry about the heat not working in the dead of winter or the AC being down in the summer when they return from a fire wearing 80 pounds of gear that encapsulates heat. Our members should also be able to come back from fires and take a hot shower to release the toxins their bodies have just absorbed that 63% of us are going to get diagnosed with cancer from. They shouldn't have to worry about a shower not working or there being no hot water when returning from a fire or exposure at a medical or a car accident. For decades, this issue of addressing conditions at these fire stations has been kicked down the road. We thank this administration for the foresight to start addressing some of the serious infrastructure concerns and for the possibility of building the city's first new firehouse in over 50 years. We urge the City Council to pass the CIP so that these necessary improvements can be made. Failure to address some of these concerns could create millions of dollars of damage in the future and make for even more costly repairs down the road. As we are well aware, to fix every deficiency would require millions of dollars more. But we have to start somewhere, and that's where this plan comes into place. The committee has got to this point thanks to countless hours of work by representatives from the Mayor's Office, Deputy Fire Chief Joe Jackson, and members of the Building Maintenance Division. In recent years, the Quincy Fire Department has made vast improvements and investments in equipment, manpower, health, and technology. We will see more state-of-the-art technology and fire apparatus in the coming months. None of this would have been possible if not for the Koch administration and you, the City Council. We urge you to pass this plan and continue to help make strides to improve and protect your fire department. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Karen Carpenter, and I live at 40 Edison Park in Quincy, and I've been a resident of Quincy for 10 years. Animal welfare is a cause that is near and dear to my heart and has been since I was a child. So I'm here tonight to express my support for the mayor's proposal for a new facility for the Quincy Animal Shelter, ACO, and Quincy's PD K9 unit. The Quincy Animal Shelter needs sufficient resources in order to continue their good work, the care, conservation, and safety of our companion animals, including those that end up born on the street or lost or abused or neglected. The Quincy Animal Shelter also provides community education, and this is a vital resource for residents and families and neighborhoods, and we need them to continue to be able to do that. In fact, we probably need them to do more of it. I know that Quincy is another of Greater Boston's up-and-coming communities because I saw this happen in Somerville and Cambridge, where I've lived in the past, and even in my hometown of Manchester, New Hampshire. When the community redevelops, it puts that place on the map, so to speak, and given the amount of housing that's being built in Quincy now, I assume that Quincy stands to attract a lot of new residents. This will, of course, mean that there will be a new generation of companion animals moving here as well. And there will be new families and individuals looking to adopt pets. If Quincy is going to give it her all in terms of revitalization, then we must take into account this important community resource that impacts all of us. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was able to get a young and very hungry stray female cat off the street in my neighborhood. She had taken up residence in my garden, and it was because of the kind and committed people at the Quincy Animal Shelter that this cat is now off the street and is up for adoption. There's another stray cat in my neighborhood, an unneutered male, that I am determined to rescue as well, but he is going to be a much bigger challenge. And I'll be calling on the Quincy Animal Shelter again to help me and guide me to trapping him and getting him to safety. I don't think he's going to survive another winter on the street. My hope is that they will have room for him at the current shelter. But what I really look forward to is the day when Quincy Animal Shelter has a bigger and new and better facility so that there is no more fear that there is no room at the inn. I support the mayor's proposal because I support the Quincy Animal Shelter. They are a dedicated crew of volunteers, and saying yes to this proposal will help secure their continued success. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name's Emily Duff. I live on Filbert Street. On a side note, it really needs to be paved. I am with the Animal Shelter. I have been a volunteer for 8 years now. And ever since I joined 8 years ago, I mean, way before I became a volunteer, it needed a new location. It's amazing the work we do there. There's over 100 volunteers donating their time, saving so many animals. We've saved so many lives and given people so many great pets. And I believe we've actually helped with the feral cat problem quite a bit in the city, which was rampant when I first moved here 16 years ago. I love what we've done with our money. I love what we've done to the downtown. I do support the library system. I completely support the fire department. And I just hope that we can share the wealth and also consider this small little space we have for the animal shelter is just not going to work much longer. And I invite any of you to come down and experience what it's like to be in there and know that you can see that it's limited space, which means limited animals, which means sometimes we can't even take everybody that we need to take. So anything that we can do to help the shelter would just be excellent karma for the whole city. Thank you.
Good evening, Gary Murphy, 100 Gridley Street. I'm employed by the city as a firefighter. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in favor of the capital improvement plan tonight with regard to the public buildings. I'd like to thank the councilors who took time out of their busy schedules earlier in the year to tour our stations and see the structural integrity problems that we have with regard to the main floor, the asbestos, et cetera. So I know you're well apprised of the problems here. Also, with regard to our radios, I know you understand the importance to our ability to execute our job and to keep ourselves safe. I'd like to thank you and the mayor for the support that you've given us broadly with regard to your recent appropriation for emergency repairs to our communication system, for the new turnout gear for the recruits. I'm sure you understand, you're stewards of the public's tax dollars, and I can appreciate that. I respect that as a citizen of Quincy, and I think there's really no better way to be a good steward than to repair these problems with the station before they become a crisis. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joe Murphy. I live at 18 Macy Street, and just want to say I think you guys have a hard job. This is a very important document I've been reading, and I'm not going to ask anyone to vote against it, but I will speak kind of neutrally. I definitely want the firefighters to have what they need to keep us safe and themselves safe. I'm actually shocked that their stations are in the disrepair they're in. I want the animals to be taken care of, and I love the library as much as anyone can. I just want to offer a reflection that there's a lot in here, and it's not just one thing or another. So when you make your decision, try to keep in mind, what is the fire station from 5 years from now? What is it that we're not paying attention to? I worry about our infrastructure. I worry that we're not going far enough for our infrastructure needs in here. We might be spending some money on things that should be going there, because I worry that in the future we're going to spend a lot more by kicking the can. But I like what's in here. I think it's a lot of ambition. I think there's a lot of wonderful things to enrich our city. I just wanted to offer a reflection on making sure that when we make our decision, it's about more than the park that we've been trying to get built, and more about than our favorite issue. The taxpayers of Quincy tell me when I door knock that they're concerned about their roads and their sidewalks, and they're concerned that this document doesn't address that fast enough. And so as you make your decision, I just encourage you to remember the flaws that are not being addressed here when this body comes back, and see if you can do things for those flaws in the future as well. Thank you.
I'm Harriet Hutchinson, 23 Delano Avenue, also a volunteer for 12 years at the Quincy Animal Shelter. And everybody here starts talking about costs, and I understand that it does cost a lot, but if someone were to come down and look at our shelter, we are extremely crowded. The roofs sometimes are leaking. We don't have enough space for our animals or to take care of them. And we do wonderful work because we have a lot of rescued animals and abandoned animals. I don't think anyone realizes how many cats particularly are abandoned, because I take the calls for people who say there's a cat in our yard. And as far as the dog people, I work with cats primarily, but the dog people, not only do they feed, but they train. I'm amazed at the work that we've done with some dogs who come in and you don't think there's any hope for them, and yet our workers, our volunteers, do marvelous work with them, especially for one of the cases that we had a few years ago, one of the animal cruelty cases that was pretty well known here. So I urge you to not forget us, because we're really crowded, and it's going to fall apart soon if you don't consider our need. Thank you.
My name's Amy Conrad. I live at D Road, so thanks for the new bridge. It's great. The shelter really is small. It doesn't, for the city the size that we have right now, it really doesn't do what it should and could do. And we try to do the best we can. There's so many amazing volunteers taking great care of the animals, and we'd really love to have more be saved and helped throughout the city. And that's all. Thanks so much.
Hi, my name is Christine Grundy. I live at 68 Robertson Street. I'm not serving on any volunteer board right now, but I am a user of the library. I love the library, and I remember back when we were, I was part of the volunteer effort to fund the new building, as it was known at that time. It's a gorgeous architectural asset to the city, and I think maintaining it really creates part of the attraction of the city, and it's one of those flagship buildings that tells people of our history and of our commitment to the future. So please fund the library. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Farns, and I live at 937 C Street. I also have the honor and privilege of being a member of the Quincy Fire Department. As a firefighter, I would like to stress the importance of this capital improvement plan. Many of you have toured the firehouses and got to see the condition of these buildings firsthand. You have seen many of the dangers, but I would like to remind you of the hidden dangers. Excuse me. Dangers that exist that you can't see, such as mold, asbestos, and benzene, all of which can cause cancer. To quote IFTA's Hazardous Materials for First Responders, 5th edition, page 173, 1 in 3 firefighters will be diagnosed with cancer during their careers. Another 45% of firefighters will have cancer diagnosed within 7 years of retirement. These numbers are alarming. Now, as firefighters, we understand and accept the inherent dangers that come with being a firefighter. Thanks to the Koch administration and this city council, we have better equipment to protect us. I understand the costs, but many of these costs are a result of the continuation of the burden that the previous administration has placed on the Koch administration. This CIP takes on greater importance for me personally. 11 years ago, I was a victim of one of the hidden dangers at the firehouse. I inhaled something that made me very sick, and I was hospitalized for 10 days. And as a result of that illness, I now have a mass on my right lung that is checked annually. We as firefighters should not have to be concerned with getting hurt or sick at the firehouse. This CIP, along with the interventions already made, will help immensely toward alleviating many of these concerns, if not all of them. I would like to thank the Koch administration and this city council for the concern and support you have always showed the Quincy Fire Department. It doesn't go unnoticed and is greatly appreciated. Please support and pass this CIP. Thank you.
How you doing? John Rodelphle, 62 Brimwall Road. I just want to say that we do need everything that we're asking for right now, so it's not about not supporting anything that the mayor is asking for right now. It's just I would rather have a more detailed explanation, maybe saying how much the road costs, how much the building costs, put forward, almost like break these 4 down into even 16 more. Just more detailed so when you do them. Right now we currently have 7 bans out totaling $95 million. So this will probably be the 8th ban, and a ban only lasts for 1 year. So we are currently paying right now $5,105 per day in interest on these bans. So we're bonding for things like planning. We're paying for a lot of things that should be included in the budget. Each year we need capital expenditures to fix the fire stations, to fix the schools, to fix everything on a yearly basis, not once every 5 years, not once every decade. And it shouldn't be done on bond issues because we're going to be breaking the backs of the children who are going to have to pay for all the new growth that we're doing today. So I really want you to really take a good look at the official statements that are released before every bond issue and see how we're loading a lot of payments in the back ends instead of doing equal payments like a mortgage, and really pay attention to each debt, because the debts become long-term debts, and long-term lasts a long time. So I just want to say that, we need to do a better job and borrow less and spend more. This is going to result in higher taxes for everyone in the city. I mean, taxes are going to go up, and it's because of the debt that we're taking on as a city. So we can't have low taxes and increase debt at the same time. So everyone up here speaking tonight is saying, please raise my taxes. So I'll join everyone and say, please raise the taxes of everyone in the city of Quincy. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Debbie Weissman-Classy. I live at 9 Edward Street in Quincy. I am also a volunteer at Quincy Animal Shelter, and I'm a cat care team and the adoption team. So I've gone to send home more than 500 cats and kittens, which is awesome. What is not awesome is how many times I've had to turn people away. They come to us with their cat, they're moving, or they've lost their housing, and I have to say, we don't have capacity. So then 3 hours later, when I get a call from a store or a firehouse that a cat has been abandoned in the parking lot, that's on us. We didn't have space for that cat. So that cat now sat in the cold for hours. We can do better with more space, so I'm begging you, please say yes.
Hello, my name is Andrea McConus. I live at 37 Pelican Road. And I'm here tonight representing the staff at the Veterinary Urgent Care Center in Quincy. And as a staff, we are all in favor of a new animal shelter. What we see at our veterinary clinic, just in the short time that we've been in operation in Quincy, we opened in February, we see a lot of financial hardship come through the door. And if you've ever been faced with a gut-wrenching decision to give up your pet due to financial constraints, you want to know that your pet is going someplace safe, someplace that they're able to be adopted out and be taken care of. They don't want a leaky roof over their head just like you don't. If you're an animal person, you'll get this. If you're not, then you should be. So we are 100% in favor of a new shelter. Thank you.
So folks, just sequentially, again, we meet right now as a body representing the Finance Committee. There is a regularly scheduled City Council meeting. We have a public hearing at 7:20, so I'm briefly going to recess the public hearing on the Capital Improvement Plan. I'm going to introduce the acting president for this evening. He's going to open up this part of the public hearing, open the City Council meeting, recess the City Council meeting. We'll reopen the public hearing on the Finance Committee. But if you're here, the thought was tonight, based on how the discussion in the public hearing goes, the City Council would take up and begin to discuss and also take in a presentation on public buildings. So the other matters before us, the animal shelter, the traffic plan, and the St. Mary's School will be taken up, I would assume, on Wednesday at our other regularly scheduled Finance Committee meeting. So we're going to take a minute just to transition here, but I'll be back. So thank you.
Public hearing, but we're going to recess and give the opportunity for the hall to clear, if we could. Are there representatives here, by the way, from Mass Electric or Verizon? Seeing none. I'd like to, if I could, open this public hearing for 2017-155. This is all right, guys. You got to take the. How am I gonna win over the dog? Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll.
Councillor King. Councillor Croall. Councillor DeBona. Councillor Finn.
Present.
Councillor Harris. Councillor LaForest. Councillor Liang. Councillor Palmucci. We have 6 members.
Okay. Thank you. Again, Madam Clerk, could you read the notice list, what this matter is about?
Yes, thank you. Massachusetts Electric Company and Verizon request the Quincy City Council for permission to relocate one pole on the northerly side of Quincy Ave to the point approximately 41 feet northwesterly from existing pole, said pole being located on the northerly side of Quincy Ave. The new pole is necessary to allow for a driveway for a new development.
Once more, do we have any representatives from Verizon or Massachusetts Electric here?
Do we have anybody here this evening who is coming to wish to speak in favor of this matter? Anyone wishing? One can sign also correct with the clerk if you wish not to speak but wish to indicate your support. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this matter? Seeing none, I will close this section of the hearing. Is anyone here this evening wishing to speak in opposition to this matter? Anyone here this evening wishing to speak in opposition to 2017-155? Anyone who wishes may sign with the clerk in opposition if you don't wish to speak. Seeing no one, then I will close the public hearing for 2017-155. We will, please. I'd like to call to order this City Council meeting of Monday, September 19th, 2017. If the clerk would please call the roll.
Councillor King. Councillor Croall. Councillor DeBona. Councillor Finn.
Present.
Councillor Harris. Councillor LaForest. Councillor Leanne. Councillor Palmucci. 6 members.
We have a quorum. I'd like to, if possible, I want to begin this evening, as we always do, with a moment of silent reflection, a prayer for wisdom. But as you know, I'm not the current president of the Quincy City Council, and our president, Kirsten Hughes, cannot be here this evening because she is mourning, again, for her and her family, the loss of her father, John J. Hughes. And again, he was buried today. And I thought it was appropriate that in our moment of silence that we keep in our thoughts the Hughes family. But I also thought it important that we also remember who John Hughes was, that he was somebody I know who had really touched a lot and inspired a number of people. He had battled illness for a significant period of time in his life, and for some of us was kind of a model of courage and patience and how he dealt with that. So with that, again, I would like to take a moment of silence, remembering the Hughes family, remembering John, and also, as we do at every meeting, remember our men and women in the military in uniform, both here and abroad. Thank you. I ask you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, if you could, again, read the open meeting law regarding video and audio recording of this meeting.
Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible.
With that, I would like to recess the City Council meeting and for the Finance Committee.
Public hearing pertaining to the multiple bond matters here before us this evening. And welcome members of the public who hadn't spoken. If they would like to speak to the podium, please, for the record, state your name and address.
Bill Zamzow, 10 Edgewood Circle, Quincy. Brian will be real happy, but he's left the room because I could comment about 4 of the items. Oh, there he is, hiding. but I'll try to limit it. Quick overview on a few of them and address one, and I understand one of my biggest concerns has been pulled off the agenda, so I won't bother with that. I'd like to start by saying I was a 10-year volunteer at the shelter. I started volunteering there the second year of operation. The program was set up by a former neighbor of mine, Brad Howard, who no longer lives in Quincy. And I got to tell you, I know the place fairly well. I did volunteers. I cleaned up dog poop. I walked dogs. I did adoptions. I saw families come in the door and had to explain to them we don't have puppies and tried to make a good outing for them. It's not easy. When I hear $7 million, it'd be nice to know what you're talking about. As I recall, you approved $600,000 for a driveway to the flag lot last spring, so we're looking at 7.6. You run the numbers, you add in probably additional expense costs, probably another employee. You're talking $600,000 a year, and they place about 600 animals. That's $1,000 an animal. I hope you consider it. I could give you an earful about traffic, but you get that every day from constituents. What I'd like to speak to with some detail is the proposal for buying the old St. Mary's site. I see three major problems. For starters, the city doesn't have a commitment from the Mass School Building Authority for partial funding of this school. As such, you ought to consider holding off buying it because what are you doing buying property if you don't know how you're going to pay for it or if you're going to get any state aid? The administration's made much about how Quincy High cost. City had to pay a lot for that. City paid about 35%. The state picked up 65%. And he said he got 80% from it. The fact of the matter is, it's only part of Central's cost. The city is local taxpayers are paying more, a bigger percentage of building the Central than they paid on Quincy High. And it's looking like it's going to be about 52% the city's going to have to cover on Sterling. Now, who knows what you're going to get for this new St. Mary's because you haven't even brought it to their MSBA for consideration. You have other problems. It's going to be a small school, maybe 2 classes a grade and 3 kindergartens. But you got to have a principal, you got to have a school nurse, and a bunch of other things. It's going to be a high overhead school. It's also in the wrong part of town. You need something because you've got problems with the way the kids are allocated to Wally and Montclair from West Quincy. But that's a district line problem. The need for students is in South Quincy. Clifford Marshall and Lincoln are over full. The 5th graders have had to be moved to Point and Sterling. We've got to rethink this entirely. You shouldn't be buying a piece of property on a speculative basis without greater commitment and a much more substantial consideration of the cost of actually adding a school. And is this the right place to do it? Thank you for your time and consideration.
Good evening.
Terry Modlesky, 205 Center Street. I've been a resident now in Quincy for 20 years. I've been affiliated with the Quincy Animal Shelter for 17 years in various aspects, such as the volunteer coordinator. When Bill was a volunteer years ago. I've been on the board of directors, dog walker, pick up poop, clean cages, take care of cats, on the summer med team. I still do things once in a while, but I'm not a full-time volunteer. I'm very good friends, and basically we're all family. We take care of a lot of dogs and cats that come through the doors. A lot are being sent away because we don't have the space. We need a bigger space. If you have not been to the shelter, I urge you, please, get to the shelter and see what it looks like now. Go during adoption days, during adoption hours. Go during 100 degrees temperatures and see the air conditioning we have. It goes out. The animals have nothing. The storm, the power goes out. It's like a tin box. It's a tin can that those animals are in. It's not big enough. We need more. Animal control needs more. John does a great job down there with what he has and the support he has to the volunteers. We have a great group of volunteers. Quincy's Canine Unit, Officer Gillen, he does an incredible job. They need more space. So I'm for it, obviously. And I urge you, please say yes to the new shelter. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thank you. Anybody else here this evening wishing to speak on the matters before us? Anybody else in attendance here this evening wishing to speak on the matters before us? Okay. So with that, I'm going to leave the public hearing part open and transition into the presentation regarding the council order. Actually, excuse me, before I do that, we did receive some correspondence regarding tonight's public hearing, and I'd just like to read it into the record. We have letters of support, School Committee, Emily Lebo, in support of Council Order 2017-132 for public building, land, and computer software upgrades. Park and Recreation Director Barry Welch, on behalf of the Park and Recreation Board, on Council Order 2017-132 for public buildings, lands, and computer software upgrades. Sherry Manning of 22 Bay State Road supports Council Order 2017-097, 2017-132, 2017-133, and 2017-135. Kate Europue of 21 Ocean Avenue supports the CPC authorization as well as the CIP. Michael Griffith of the City of Quincy Fire Department supports the CIP, and Mary Jo Brogna of 2 Alden Street supports CPC and CIP. So just wanted to make an effort to make that part of the record. And with that, we're joined here this evening by the Commissioner of Public Buildings, Paul Hines. And Paul, I don't know if there's been sort of a change in speaker progression, but I'm assuming you're up first, unless you're introducing Chuck. But that's perfectly fine either way. You're introducing.
This is a bit earlier.
Okay, I didn't know if you had any further, Chuck, on that, or that was, I know you said we'd see you later, so I didn't know if that meant. You got it? Okay, so we'll come back to the technology component later. So thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, committee members, for hearing us this evening. I think it was pretty overwhelming, the people's sentiment. If you look down the list of this CIP Phase 2 that's before you in this council order, though it's a sizable amount of money, there's really nothing grandiose here. With the exception of the study for the future municipal public safety headquarters study, really it's addressing a lot of deferred maintenance. Upgrades, improvements are really not there. It's repairing the buildings. Their need is great. This list will go on, and as the years go forward, it will be supplemented. But these are immediate needs. You heard the firefighters, and I'm heartened to hear that many of you toured the firehouses and know the conditions that these gentlemen endure each day. I'd invite you, if anyone is interested, I would take you on a tour to the Thomas Crane Library as well, or any of the other facilities that you may not be familiar with, to see the conditions that we're actually speaking of. And that's not to assume that you don't already know. I'm just offering it up if anybody would like that behind-the-scenes tours. The line-by-line items under the public safety and technology section, I do have backup information on each, whether it a proposal that we did last spring from a contractor, calculations from our in-house staff. We do have Gary Cunniff, who is the structural engineer, and he's priced a number of these things. Dave Scott, who's been fantastic with our HVAC systems. He's reviewed many of the items and the needs of the buildings, and he's opined as to what their needs are and what the expense of doing the repairs would be. So if there's any particular matter that you would like to go into detail, I will explain to you or suggest to you that the fire mechanics move. Currently, the fire department enjoys the use of space down at the Quincy shipyard. There's different elements down there. There's one that's a mechanic shop where they fix the trucks and such. Mr. Quirk built a new building for his operation in the mechanics and built space for our fire departments to continue at the shipyard.
So the $70,000 here is to equip that space with the lifts needed for the newer, heavier trucks and items like that. Separate and aside, as we know, the training academy is down there for a number of years, and we will be looking for a new home for that moving forward. But that's not before you tonight. I do have in possession a wish list that was put together by each firehouse, the staff in each firehouse, and we've tried to address all of them in those wish lists. Same thing that they're not looking for granite counters and such. They're looking for removal of asbestos, fixing of wires, and fixing of leaks. We in the public building department did knock off a number of items over the course of last year out of our department budget, but we just absolutely can't hit this whole list on the annual appropriation. I did suggest earlier the $500,000. We did do an RFP on the streets for designer services and feasibility study for entities that would be qualified to do a study for us on whether we advance that facility, and if so, what size, what programming, and what needs would be filled. This money here funds that successful respondent to the RFP. The committee is being set up to review all the many responses that we received, and in order to execute and move that forward, they need the funding to fund the contract. As we know that the Bryan Post is not going to be dealt with at this time. I want to echo what was mentioned earlier. There is asbestos in our schools. We are compliant. There's no immediate risk, but there's aging infrastructure that has asbestos. There's floor tiles, there's ceilings, and we need to start addressing them before it's crisis mode. So this is like the first step of a planned removal action going forward, some of the worst ones first. We did do our 3-year annual recertification or resurvey of the buildings that is required under the asbestos laws. We do have those reports. There are some minor repairs needed to the existing facilities, but they do in those reports suggest the systematic removal going forward. So this is the first bite of doing that, the $200,000 in the schools. The fire suppression heads, 2 of the schools have fire sprinkler heads that have been recalled as being defective, and we need to swap them out. The science lab at North Quincy High School, those labs are 40, 45 years old. They're not functioning as they should, and they're really not designed for today's science class in the laboratory programming. So this is the design and recommendations on a redo in those current labs. Mr. Bergoli did speak to the chillers and the rooftops. There are dozens of rooms in North Quincy High School that have no windows. The only air that's taken in is through the mechanical ventilation system. We're down to 25% capacity from what's designed for that building. And as it stands now, if it's a 95-degree day, we're piping in air that's in the 80s when it should be in the 70s. So we're piping hot air in because we can't chill it appropriately. If we lose that last element of that last chiller, we are going to have a real problem. There is an underground storage tank at North Quincy High School. Years back, they went to gas and they did not remove the tank. It's still in the ground. We'd like to take that out to avoid any hazmat situation going forward. There's a number of kind of group them together. The recommissioning of the control systems and the heating and the ventilation plants. Some of these buildings, as Shelley would say, are out of control. The controls don't work right. There's malfunctioning software. There's malfunctioning valves. And we can't control the temperature in the buildings. Whether it's overheating or underheating, as you suggested, the patrons of the library are requesting them. That's to address a number of them across the buildings. Quincy High School, there's $150,000 here. That's a big chunk. Quincy High School is not an old building, and it's costing us a fortune. It's so large. It just has so many mechanical systems, and it's just far beyond technologies that we have traditionally had in the city in our buildings. And it's kind of a growing pains on maintaining those systems. The Della Chiesa has a failed condenser unit. That's related to their air conditioning system as well. They've failed, so their HVAC system is not functioning as it should be. The hot water, the domestic hot water system there has failed. They don't have their hot water that they're required to have by code. The Wallison Elementary School, underneath the basement floor slab, under the concrete floor, the soil pipe that's 110 years old or something at this point, it failed. and it's undermining the slab, and the slab is collapsing itself. So it's not a structural issue that the building's going to collapse, but the floor is not stable, and there is a sanitary issue under that slab that does need to be addressed. Lincoln Hancock School is one of our newer schools, and it is one of our most costly as well to operate and to go forward on. Notwithstanding the pool is a separate entity, the building is heated by electricity. It's electric heat. It costs a fortune. The control system is out of control. We need to get a handle on that. The lighting systems are difficult. The building has been repetitioned since it was built. The lighting, since one switches are not doing the right rooms. But even more so when you move to the pool aspect of the building, the locker rooms are absolutely deplorable. We get emails all the time about the condition of the showers. We go in there, if there's 20 showers, if there's 3 that's working, it's a good day. 4 is a stellar day. The components are old. It's the early 1970s. The parts are not available. We have to completely redo the shower systems in those locker rooms for the swimming pool because the people are not able to take a shower before they go swimming, and that's against the public health laws. Just the general condition of the locker rooms as well. The stalls are broken. There's missing doors in the bathrooms. The shower petitions for privacy petitions are broken. The pool, too, the chlorine pools. You remember a number of years back, there was a collapse of a pool at a YMCA down on the South Shore someplace because they hadn't been testing it. The pool chemicals help to degrade the concrete. Nobody knows when the last time the roof over the Lincoln Hancock pool was tested. We want to do that. The aluminum slat ceiling that's in there has failed, but there are pieces of the slat that fall, and they're like razor blades falling from the ceiling. So we're asking for money to redesign a new ceiling system for that space, which will also allow the reflective surface so that we can relight the pool, because right now the electric lights are hanging over the water and they're difficult to access. We would like to do a study to reheat the entire building, take it off of the electric system and put it in hydronics. Beechwood Middle School, likewise, similar to Wallison, has had the sanitary pipe under the building fail. It's going to entail jackhammering the floor down the center hallway, accessing the pipe, replacing it, and redoing the floors. The Goals building, over behind North Quincy High School, it's not part of North, but it's at the campus. It's in very difficult shape. They have water issues. There's infiltration issues. The heat is not functioning properly. The ventilation's not functioning. The next one is at North Quincy High School is the gym bleachers. Mr. Bergoli made reference to that. They do not meet today's codes. They are broken in addition to not meeting the codes, and they are not safe to be operating. Wallison School roof is listed here. In the last iteration, this had ceiling. The ceiling had water damage from the leaks caused by Solar City. Portions of that ceiling collapsed. So out of my department budget, we spent about $60,000 and took that ceiling down because it was asbestos. We're not going to replace the ceiling. We found a cedar deck roof, and we painted the scale and painted the ductwork, and it looks great. But we do need to replace the roof. We're in negotiations with Solar City, but they've now been sold to Tesla. Whole new group of people back to square one. I don't know if we'll ever get a dime out of them, but we are trying. We did, I will say, get the money for this quantum roof. We did receive the check for the reimbursement there. Beechwood Middle School is bulging at the seams. Dr. Christopher is constantly looking for ways to alleviate that condition, even to the conversation in mobile classrooms, which were not ideal. So we're asking for monies for a feasibility study to put in yet another addition onto that building. The gutters of the ECC, the water's infiltrating the building because it's running off the roofs. As Mr. Bergoli said, the carpeting in North Quincy High School is disgusting. You walk in the library and it smells. To one down through the backing to the concrete slab. It's a public safety hazard. I'd hate to see somebody go down and break a hip and have to go into home because they broke a hip on a carpet. I do have pictures of many of these things. If anyone wants to go sidebar, I can circulate copies of them all for whoever would like them. North Quincy High School, one, because of its age, two, because of the air conditioning system not functioning properly. Many of the ceiling tiles are deflected so badly they're actually falling out of the grids. And they're dirty through years of breaks and leaks. They're mismatched throughout the whole building. They're well beyond their useful life, and the ceiling tiles need to be replaced. This is just a shot in the dark that won't even do half of the building. Same thing with the carpeting in the classrooms. There's water issues, there's mold issues, they're worn through to the plywood, there's tripping hazards. This phase one interior wall replacements is a recast or redescription of the same amount of money. It was a typo in the last one. But in the new addition to North Quincy High School, which is now 40-something years old, it has the mobile walls that aren't functioning and are broken. The principal has asked that we look to remove those walls and actually put in stationary walls with classroom doors so that they can isolate from one another. There's a lot of disturbance going from room to room, walking through classrooms to get to the next, and just, the sound of instruction from one room is traveling to the sound and competing with the sound of the instruction in the other room. And North Quincy High School is the number 2 energy user in the city. That building alone uses 9% of the electricity in the entire city. That was including street lights and everything. It does have fluorescent lighting, which was the state of the art 40-something years ago. It's not now. So we're looking to replace the lighting throughout that building with LED lighting. And again, this is just the first stab at it. This will not cover the whole building, but we'd like to do the common areas and such that are on most frequently. You heard quite a bit in the libraries. The Adams Shore Library, the HVAC system has failed. We barely get by on heating it. We certainly cannot air condition it. And with that large glass, it's like being in a fishbowl with the sun blaring in. Asbestos removal, all of this again is deferred maintenance with the exception of the exterior repairs to Richardson. That is deferred maintenance. It's long overdue. This is work that was supposed to be done 17 years ago when the addition was put onto the library. Funds ran shy, and this work was deferred and was going to get to the next year. Well, there's been 17 next years, and it hasn't been done yet. And I got photograph after photograph of the water infiltrating that building. Ceilings have collapsed. Woodwork is ruined. Walls are wide open. There's actually on the upper level of the Richardson building, one of Richardson's finest libraries, there's kiddie pools in the attic catching rainwater. There's paint trays catching water coming in windows that go into 5-gallon Home Depot buckets. There's some of the windows in the Richardson building, the glass is held in the frames by paper towels that they wet and packed in there and they dried. They're not going to hold much longer. So we really need to take care of the Richardson building. It's in many ways is truly falling down around us, and we need to deal with that. The North Quincy Library has electrical deficiencies. We're looking for funding of $25,000 to upgrade those and to add capacity for the computers and stuff that are coming online more and more in the libraries. As somebody made references, asbestos tiles on the floor in that building which are breaking. We'd like to abate them and replace that with the carpeting. Thomas Crane Public Library, the main branch, has a security issue. There's a number of people that are in there throughout the day, in and out, and the library director is quite concerned. She's met with a couple of different vendors, and they've designed a security system we'd like to implement there. The last piece of the general city buildings, the same thing. It's terrible to have to say, but the world we live in today, it's open to a policy in City Hall right now. Not that we want to change that, but we want to be able to have more security. If we need to have a lockdown, we have to have a lockdown, and we don't have those capacities at this point. So there's a line item for security at the City Hall building here. When you're at the firehouses, you may have seen their front driveways and the side driveways, but in many of the buildings, the glamorous part is the roadways. Everybody's very happy. The road's smoother when they get paved. They've always kicked aside the parking lots. Some of our parking lots around these schools and the firehouses are absolutely treacherous, and it's just an accident waiting to happen for people to fall. So there's different degrees. Some just need an overlay. Some need complete rebuilding, and we do have a spec being drawn up by Ty and Bond as we speak on that. The Kennedy Center is now 9 years open, I believe, 8 years open this summer, and the heating system pipes go underneath in the crawl space under the building, which is a very wet, moist environment since it was built on marshland back in the day. And the hangers and such and all the heating pipes have failed, and we're constantly dropping the heating pipes. We get a call from the water department because the water is running 24/7, and that's the only way to know that another heating pipe has failed. So there's money to design and then overhead piping inside the building of the heating system, which also controls the air conditioning system in that building. The Fall River Clubhouse, we're asking for monies for asbestos abatement and to deal with the bathroom plumbing. There's quite a bit of asbestos in that building that was left behind by the Honeywell project, both on pipes and, dare I say, probably in piles on the floor in the basement, and it has got to get taken out of there. The Veterans Memorial Stadium, the stands, the concrete stands are from the 30s, I believe, when it used to be Paflin's Oval. If you walk up them, you can see a number of the stair edges are broken, the control joints are all broken. But if you go underneath and look at the bridge that goes up to Hancock Street, it's not in good condition at all. That's an immediate need that cannot be deferred. The snow guards, according to building, we've crushed, I think, 4 cars at this point. Thankfully, nobody has been standing there as the snow comes tumbling off the roof. Back in the day when they didn't care about the oil bill, the snow would just melt. Now that it's so well insulated, the snow sits there, so the sun hits it, and it comes off in avalanches. It's so bad, and we didn't have the money this past winter that the roofing contractor that did the roof when the building was renovated paid out of pocket to add snow rails on the front of the building. We still need to do the other 3 sides, so that's what this request is. I mentioned just general needs, the more technologically advanced control systems like this building, Central Middle School, some of the others. It just costs more to operate these systems, so that's what the line item for $100,000 is to upgrade some of these control systems and keep them balanced. And the Kennedy Center, too, that was built in the 50s as the elementary school and been through a couple of tenants. But the city now have it as the senior center. There's a lot of areas in that need pointing. There's water infiltrations to buildings, just by years of deterioration of the mortar. Nothing structural. It's just the water's leaking in and it creates problems. So we need to address that. So if there's any particular item anyone would like to address, I'd certainly entertain a question.
Paul, before we open it up for questions, and I know my fellow councilors too, you had alluded in the beginning, and I know that you and I had, chatted a little bit before we got going here, and I had a conversation with, the mayor's representative, Mr. Walker, regarding the Bryant Post acquisition.
Correct.
And how at the time I just found it odd that it was part of this bond request. And my understanding now is that essentially that's going to get couched for a conversation to take place later, post-feasibility study for the potential public safety headquarters, correct?
At some point in the future, correct.
So we're looking at Council Order 2017-132, which is an appropriation for $12,836,000. So that is less $1.3 million for the Bryant Post. So with that, make a motion to cut $1.3 million of that bond authorization. And I would recognize the mayor's acting representative here with us this evening, and welcome, Lisa. If you had any commentary, if I was spot on in that sort of delivery. I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, and the administration agrees with that, and we will come forward with that order in the future.
Perfect. So put that in the form of a motion. And any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor King, Councilor DeBona.
Yes.
Councilor Finn.
Yes.
Councilor Harris.
Yes.
Councilor Hughes. Councilor LaForest. Yes. Councilor Liang. Yes. Councilor Palmucci. Chairman Croall.
Yes.
Unanimous pass.
Thank you. And I guess the amended amount, doing some speed math here, is, what is that, 10, 11, 5 something? 11 million, yes. 11,536,000, just as amended. And with that, thank you for the presentation. I'll open it up to questions. Councilor Forrest, you're anxious.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you too, Mr. Hines. Paul, you've really, every year budget time, I know Councilor Palmucci or I are always asking about what our long-term capital plan is, and while you've done some significant homework and really looking at every public building that we are responsible for, these are public assets and there's long deferred, decade-old maintenance, but it's time. We've seen great projects come to fruition. I mean, you did a tremendous job with your stewardship of this building, with the Covington building. I often joke that when we work with the Inspection Services Department, that we'd be in violation, like code enforcement can come ticket the city for the conditions of some of our own facilities. I do have a couple of questions. The you had referenced the fire department, and we had great testimony earlier from our department about the wish list and how the committee's been working on for years, and you've really been tackling some of the smaller issues, and now you're bringing in the longer ones. Are there any items that are going to remain on the wish list that we're not able to address between what your department has been working on and what you're bringing forward for the fire department?
From the wish list as I have it, I'm not aware of stuff was not addressed. There's been a couple of kitchens that have already been redone. I believe West Quincy got a new kitchen. And many times with these projects to the firehouse, the guys do them themselves as well. So there's a team effort with the firefighters, who a lot of them are tradesmen on the side, in our department. So I know Central Headquarters got a new kitchen. West Quincy got a new kitchen. We did the asbestos removal at Point. We did the electrical upgrades at Point. We did a lot of painting, but as they alluded to, there's already damage to much of that. But I'm not aware of any significant matter on the wish list.
So what about more of and I get this is a lot of structural integrity. These are real needs and not additional amenities. But I was at the unveiling of the kitchen at the West Quincy Firehouse. Both myself and Councillor Bona graduated high school with John Austin. And but we don't want to have, and as much as I appreciate the extracurricular talents of the fire department, we don't want to be piecemealing and fundraising and bringing in their own resources for our public building facilities. So are there other things that I just want to be clear, as this isn't cleaning up everything, but this is tackling substantial.
The major ones, yes. There are many of the minor ones that we can address going forward to the department budget. And I will be honest and say that there's still there's still community preservation money in the account that was appropriated, I believe, a year or 18 months ago for the Point Firehouse and for the Wollaston Firehouse. So there's still that pool of money to address the gutters and stuff like that for those buildings. So they're not here on this request because I've got a pool of cash to take care of them already.
Okay, I will say Housneck Fire Station Engine 6 has been the host in particular to the Housneck Community Council's tree lighting every Christmas. And every year I'm going, when we host the events, I've talked about the conditions of the front driveway, and we've been seeing those addressed. But the firehouses are definitely antiquated. I'm really glad to be supporting of that. It's important that they're getting modernized and upgraded because those buildings work 24/7, 365. And as first responders, they're always there for us. And I would just encourage people to, they have people pop in there all the time, but that back driveway literally was a blight. And the poor neighbor and back and the conditions they've lived, never mind, in addition, the members serve out of that station every day. So I did take an opportunity with some of the members of Local 792, just tour the different stations, and glad to hear we're really tackling their wish list. And I appreciate them stepping up and taking their time and advocating for the needs of the fire stations, because we do need to hear from them, and they've been overlooked for decades. So I appreciate the good work of the administration on that. The other question I have, which I just want this problem, I think, to go away, but Honeywell, right? So you're talking about malfunctioning software and controls, and wasn't that like the next, they're going to solve all your problems, Honeywell's coming to town, and I feel like our $3 million settlement hasn't nearly, we're years later now still feeling for the effects of the poor execution of that contract. And so was it Quincy High that you had said had the malfunctioning software and control systems?
Quincy High School, yes. But that, I don't believe we've been involved in Honeywell. That was new. That was the new system that has failed, yeah.
Okay. And lessons learned, I assume, have been implemented in Central and are going to roll forward into Sterling and beyond?
We absolutely do. There's actually a file called that, and we've had a lessons learned meeting. Meetings.
That's important.
And that goes so far as to don't use this particular product, don't use that compressor company, don't use that bathroom faucet to that detail.
Yeah. I'm sure it's a little more colorful words in the Honeywell file. The other thing for me, the Richardson building is one of the most historic treasures our community has, and I feel like you really spelled it out as to what we're dealing with and how we're, band-aiding and duct taping our public buildings and what we've needed to do. And I understand, believe me, you've got a leaky, window in your own house and you're procrastinating it and kicking the can. But the Richardson building is so valuable and so signature to our community that you're right. It's time. If not now, when? We can't afford to postpone that project any longer. There's a lot of projects on deck. I guess my last question is relative to your timeline for delivering these. So there's, we're talking about $11 million appropriation. What is your anticipation? And I appreciate your background. You gave some pretty good information. And I felt like I had seen the timeline previously with some of your phases, and maybe I just don't have that particular document with me tonight.
Let's make no mistake about this. This is a lot of money. It's a lot of funding at one point, but that's because the need is there. I do not have a set timetable for the implementation of every one of these projects, other than to say we're going to advance them as expeditiously as possible. We did, through the efforts of Frank Trematozzi, who's a master in procurement, we put out an RFP for on-call designer services. We had a number of respondents, and the lead respondents had each of the disciplines beneath it. And we awarded to everyone that responded. So now we have fully complied with procurement by taking out the file, finding an architect, taking out the file, finding a mechanical engineer, design this for me. So now we just have to negotiate their price. And if we're comfortable with their price, we can use them. So there's no more, the central register and weeks of advertising. We've done all of that. So we're really ready to hit the ground on many of these. Like this is one, like the stadium. That's the bridge at the stadium. We got to get that engineered. In fact, I think they're going to send the guys down and shore it up with wood until we get that done. They've got the
football season. Football season.
I know. All those Raider fans stamping their feet.
Yes.
So, to be honest with you, I don't have a timetable for you. There is a concern by a couple of guys in my department that they're going to be working a lot. I said, yes, you are.
That was my next, I guess it's a follow-up. Is this, are you anticipating you have sufficient staff, bringing on staff, contracting staff? Who's doing this work for us?
Most of this work that you see will be contracted out. Walter McDonald's fantastic in doing that. We'll have project managers for each one. I take many of the projects myself, and I manage particular projects, and we each take them. To the great benefit of the Parks Department, to the great loss of public buildings, Don Martin was sworn in today as the Executive Director of the Parks Department, so he's no longer in mine. And he was one I could absolutely go to and it get done. So it'd be a great fit for the Parks Department, but he's going to be very difficult to replace. But I have no doubt the mayor's got somebody in the back of his head already.
So clerk of the works for all of these projects, I think, sometimes for us as we're funding these, for us to kind of get a check in on where projects are, being executed, where the, what the deliverables are, project completion. I think who would be managing that? Yourself? You
can direct the inquiries to me, and whoever has been assigned to be the project manager for that particular one, I can distribute it to them and either have them respond or I'll gather the information and shoot it back to the council who inquires. I think, in particular, like the libraries, every year there's such a small portion of the city budget, and, the quality of programming is top-notch, but their physical conditions are really deteriorating. It was great to have some of their advocates come up here tonight and see the love they have for the library, and it is definitely, Can I give the word to Ward 1 that I'm sure we'll have AC in 2018? I guess that's kind of what I'm looking for. Yes. In some of these projects, as we're talking about, the North Quincy High School bleachers, is basketball season going to have new bleachers? So they are designed and ready to go.
They're designed and ready to go. So there's things. I guess we're looking at it as there's a big chunk of public projects that are going. You've been doing a lot of homework, getting things prepared. Some of these projects we're going to see delivered fast. Some of these projects would probably, some of the schools, the roofs, you tend to do that in the summer season. So I guess I just want the public to have expectations of when we had a great discussion really going through what we'll be spending these dollars on. I guess I'm looking for information on when they'll be delivered just to set their expectations. But all fantastic projects, all long overdue, and I will be supporting the appropriation.
You mentioned that the library costing monies and being neglected. This year alone, since July 1st, I spent about $40,000 in the air conditioning and $90,000 in the elevator out of my annual budget.
Oh.
So the needs are there. We need to do these things.
And I think when we talk about annual budget and what the needs are in these capital improvement plans, what it is operational, and we don't have the cushion to handle projects and when things go wrong.
And we're really, I think, in this last council session, we adopted fiscal policies. We talked about our borrowing limits and where we want to be financially, because we need to be planning for these projects and having funding available. But currently we do not, and we're making adjustments. And I will say, you really have great teams who do whatever it takes to get things done and to deliver. But I was at the library the other day, had to use the children's elevator because the other one was out of service. So thanks for your good work.
I will, on that matter, going forward with the budget session, this past one was my first, I'm going to recommend a line item for reserve account, that each year money is paid into reserve account to cover emergency things like that with appropriation of the council at the time, but at least there's a pool of money that can be appropriated.
I think that's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor DeBona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to, Paul, I'm going to put you on hold a little bit. We've been on breaks, July and August. I'd like to talk a little bit about this capital improvement plan as a whole. We've had this kind of in our hands over the last year. We knew this capital improvement plan was going to be coming down the pike. We have some allocation that we need for funding, obviously. I want to start off first by I want to start off by the three criteria that I always start off with: is education, public safety, and infrastructure improvements. Those three are the top conditions and concerns that I do and make decisions up here on allocating funding or whatever the case may be. Let's start off with education. We're going to backtrack a little bit. We're going to go back 4 years ago when I was on the school committee. 4 years ago, we had a little influx of kindergarten students. Some of the schools, like Lincoln Hancock, Clifford Marshall, Montclair, have a little influx of kindergarten. So we looked at and this is part of the whole capital improvement, is this St. Mary's acquisition down the road, is to alleviate for those kindergarten students and for the West Quincy students that are basically on the Grove Street, the other side of the highway, to allow them to go to St. Mary's. Now, we're also obviously in the pipe for building the new Sterling Middle School. We have Quincy High School, Central Middle School already built, brand new facilities, MSBA, 70 to 90% reimbursements. Now we got Sterling. We're in the pipe. Should be done in about another year. Was on the Sterling Building Committee. Very important alma mater. My 8th grade year, I went there. Quincy Point closed, and I had to go to Sterling for 1 year before going to Quincy High School. Just to get back on the school committee and the kindergarten students and how important it is that we provide that. Sterling Middle School currently right now has 340 students. We're building the new school for 430 students. There'll be 90 more kids can go to Sterling. Talked about a little earlier about we should be concentrating more on the other side of the city, which is Clifford Marshall, Lincoln Hancock. Well, we were also on the table looking to redistricting some of these lines, maybe in line with some of the wards. It's in this overlap. There's the wards and the districting of the schools are overlapped differently. So we're looking to do that. Now, I know this is school committee issues, but education is always going to be number one and very important for our children. You talked about all these different repairs and improvements that we have to do to our schools. I drive by them all the time. You either build a new school or you fix the existing school. We obviously can't build every new school, so we have to do the existing school and do what we can. And I'll get to the fire in a minute. We have to do the same thing over there in that department. But education is going to be, and one of the ladies said earlier about the animal shelter. She said, well, we have to provide for our children. They're our future. We have to provide for our seniors. We have to provide for animals as well. So that was her top threes. But I hear about the term pay now or pay more later. We have to think about that when we're trying to move a city forward with what we're doing outside here, as well as what do we do? Do we wait long enough for it to be in disrepair and we cost us more money to repair it? Or do we build a new structure, start from scratch, take advantage of different MSBA funding, grant money, federally or statewide? Or do we go in and we do a capital improvement plan? There's only so much you can put in the budget. I'm going to be honest with you. $2.9 million in the education budget. Around $2 million of it went towards the teacher's contract. There was $900 left over. That goes like that. So what do? You find outside the box. We take advantage of our MSBA program We get 70 to 90% reimbursement, and then we go after this capital improvement plan. That's why I came up here to the council. Came up here to the council to fight for more funding for the schools. I feel it's very, very important for our city to move forward in the right direction with all our construction and all our redevelopment in the city is to have a top grade education system. That is top tier. Top tier. And there was a nice article in the Ledger the other day. Mr. Sean Carter wrote it. South Shore lags behind state in offering free full-day kindergarten. Well, guess what? Quincy offers free all-day kindergarten. Let me tell you some of the municipalities that don't. Weymouth, they charge $3,500 a child. And they have a lottery system where not every kid gets in there. 237 of the lottery gets in of 391. So not every child can go to that. Braintree doesn't offer it. Hingham, Marshfield, Situate. Those are our neighboring towns in the South Shore. There's 10 total in the South Shore that charge for all-day free kindergarten. We don't. The average that they're charging is $3,390. $3,390 they're charging for a child to go to kindergarten. Norwell charges $4,000. Hingham charges $3,575. Why do I talk about this? We have a system here, a city that provides this free day, all-day kindergarten. It's very important for our city. I've been knocking on doors for 4 years. 3 citywide elections. People are moving here to Quincy because we provide these services.
Sure.
We provide these services for everyone. We talked about the Kennedy Center, provide services for the last 8 to 9 years at the Kennedy Center. I go in there, the place is packed. We have to find another facility like the Florida Clubhouse for our seniors because it's packed over there. We can't fit everybody in there. We're providing services for the city. So I understand, and I'm fiscally conservative, trust me. I'm fiscally conservative. But we need to find other avenues of funding our sources. There's only so much you can tap into a budget. You have to go into other sources. Getting back to public safety, which is the next criteria. Public safety on our streets, public safety for our fire and our police. We'll provide those resources for our men and women in the city of Quincy to protect us. As we're growing as a city, we need to maintain this. I've been in these firehouses, headquarters, North Quincy. I took a tour in headquarters. I feel so bad that our men have to sleep in there. I really do. I really do. I want to move forward on a public safety headquarters as soon as possible. I would have voted on it last year because we need to provide a public safety headquarters for our police, our fire, and our DPW. And to alleviate the madness that we're having. You know, this is very important. And then the next criteria is infrastructure improvements. We're talking about a lot of infrastructure that we need to do and maintain in our city. I was driving, was knocking on a door in Howes Neck, and a guy was kind of arguing with me about his road. He said, and I won't say what the street he lives on, and he's probably listening right now. And he kept on complaining, I just want you to just pave our road. Well, I was walking down Rhoda, that's right off the dike there. It's brand new paved. It provides for Rockland Street, Pawsey, all those streets that go off the dike, brand new. Paved on the sidewalks, paved on the street. Very high, high maintenance street that's going to be well-traveled street, I guess I can say.
In a new bridge.
In the bridge. So I says to him, and we talked for a good 15 minutes, and he's complaining about you need to provide more infrastructure. I says, we're getting to it. Just be a little patient. And within a month of talking to him, it happened. It happened. And we're getting there, but it's a work in progress to do this. And I just wanted to give an opening statement because we've been on break for a while. I've been out there on the streets since the beginning of April, talking, knocking, everywhere in the city. And, there's a lot of concerns, but I have to tell you, I see flip-over houses, which means new dwellers in there. I see a lot of younger families. I see a lot of younger families that want to raise a family here in Quincy, Massachusetts. Whether you agree or disagree, that's the bottom line. The proof is in the pudding. I get the list. I look at it and I go, wow, look who's in here. Brand new grass, cutting their lawn. There's a flag up, American flag up. I mean, that's what I want. I want to go back to the traditional Quincy that I grew up in. You know, the American flag up. People mow their lawns. People say hi to each other. People actually walk by each other and, hey, how are you? How you doing today? And it's not foreign. You know, there's a sense of neighborhood in the city of Quincy. We have pockets of little neighborhoods, but we still are a city. And that's what I want to continue to strive to do. So, listen, fiscally conservative I am, but there's time that you have to move the city forward and you have to bond some of this money. And we have a situation where our debt service is at a point where we can actually have room to bond this funding. A AA plus rating, which we need to talk about. We need to maintain that to bond. These are very important items that I continuously think about in our head. How do we do this? How do we strike the balance out there in that city? Or what do we do? Do we hold this off and wait and wait and wait, and then we can't repair it? I've been through these schools. I've been to North Quincy High School. We've done a lot of window repairs. We've done a lot of door repairs. With solar panels on every single roof in the city of Quincy for the Quincy Public Schools. Boilers, and we've taken advantage of the MSBA program where we can get 79% back, but there's some other repairs. We have to maintain our 18, 19 schools. You talked about Della Chiesa, Early Childhood Center. It's a very important place. My little boy goes there. My other little boy is going to be going there another 2 weeks. I'll have 2 kids in the Quincy Public Schools. It's not just about my kids. It's about providing for our children. They are our future. So, look at this bonding that we have to do. And we've had this on the table. We've been talking about this for the last year. We have to think how important it is to move the city forward. And listen, I want to keep taxes low. We need to find other generating funding for our taxpayers out there. We need to find more commercial growth to allow this to happen, to allow this bonding to happen. Our debt service is going to go up. But mainly I just wanted to have an opening statement. We haven't been in session for a while. We haven't talked about a lot of these things. We've had a summer vacation. We're back at it. We have a lot of things on the agenda. Reimbursement-wise, do we have this funding that you're asking for tonight, do we have any reimbursements in there? Is there any statement of interest of MSBA, or is there any grant funding that you're going to get back? Is there anything in there?
Nothing in this program qualifies for the MSBA, either the core program or the accelerated repair on the schools. There is a grant being written by Eric Mason in the Municipal Finance Department as we speak for $250,000 for the handicap upgrade at the floor of the clubhouse, which I'm hoping to capture some of those funds if we're successful to do the bathroom renovations because they're not compliant as we speak. So we get 2 birds with 1 stone with state money on that. That plays well into the park outside and the playground for all concept down there. It's really kind of the same program. The state is really excited about teaming up the building improvement with the outside improvements. But the mayor's challenging us all the time to think outside and look for ways for funding, and we have. And again, he's mindful of the taxpayer. There is nothing grand on this. This is truly maintenance. And you talked about the credit rating, the bond rating. One of the elements to keep that rating is maintaining your current assets. So not fixing them to artificially keep the tax rate down ultimately costs you money because now you're going to pay higher in interest rates than that which you do bond. So not only is it going to cost us less to fix now than later, and absolutely the need for these repairs are there, it actually helps our rating to maintain our assets.
Where do you think the biggest chunk of funding is going towards? Or what, in number-wise, what allocation of funding is going towards the most? Because you kind of have a lump sum of public buildings, lands, and computer software upgrades. You also have schools in there. It's kind of lumped. Where's our biggest chunk going to be going towards?
There are subcategories. The general city buildings, City Hall, senior center stuff is $1.4 million. The libraries is $2.9 million. It's actually on the spreadsheet. It's broken out.
Sure.
Schools.
I just want you to tell the public just so they know.
Schools are $3,864,000. The public safety design is $500,000. The technology, which is the email and those other softwares, at
Chuck was talking about in the public safety radios. That's 1.9 million. And the public safety structure portion, not the communications piece, but the structure portion, is just under $1 million. So the largest chunk here is the schools.
You know, we had a lot of special interest groups in here tonight. People came up and they spoke about in favor of. I didn't hear anybody say that they were opposed to something in general. Did anyone come up here tonight and say they were opposed to anything? Like, hey, listen, I don't want you to do this, or I don't want you to do Thomas Crane Public Library. I mean, Adam Shore, I use that facility. My kids go in there. We want to use the branches too, as well as the main core at Thomas Crane Public Library. We have to provide that service. The animal shelter, we'll get into that in the next piece, but we're going to build a new structure. It's going to be a brand new facility. I mean, we only can provide 12 dogs in there right now and 15 to 25 cats that we can hold. I mean, they've rescued 7,500 dogs and cats over the last, since 1999. So we need to provide a little bit more of a service, and I see a lot of animal lovers out there. My in-laws, they have a basset hound. They're empty nesters. They don't have any more children in the house, obviously. They had Duke prior, he was a basset hound, and then they have Sophia now, basset hound. They care for that dog like it's their child. And that's what they love that dog so much. It's like their child. And to walk her and, you know, play, and I go over there and the dog gets out of that crate and starts jumping on me, and it's just, that's what kind of keeps them going. You know, so when we talk about animals, it's near and dear to my heart. But, you know, Paul, we're up here tonight. This capital improvement plan, it's a lot. I understand that, but these are kind of, I always talk about needs and wants. We can kick the can down the road a lot longer, but in my personal opinion, it's going to cost us more down the road. So we have an opportunity here with our AA+ rating. We have opportunity with debt service. We have availability on it. And we're going to have to generate more revenue from this, from all these other things going on in the city. And I'm going to be honest with you, everybody's going to be held accountable for this. And we have to provide more funding for our taxpayers. And that's, you know, commercial economic growth, downtown development, North Quincy development. We have to provide for that because we have to make up a little bit. We can't just go back on the taxpayer every time and say, okay, we're going to do all this bonding, but we're going to come back to the well again and go back to the taxpayer. No. We're going to do all this construction of the city and make it a little bit displacement for people, and we're going to have to provide something for them in the long run. So I'm going to be asking and, you know, pushing the buttons here to say, listen, we need to get more funding for this type of stuff. We need to go outside the box and find other avenues of getting this funding. So, you know, it's a give and take. You know, we can do these type of bonding, but we better provide something on the back end and not just tap into the, you know, the residential or the regular taxpayer of the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor, before I transition to Councilor Yang, I just want to, and I'll come in at the end. Obviously, I reserve the right, you know, for my fellow councilors to share their thoughts. But I heard you mention Forever, and as you know, that's a place that's near and dear to my heart. And I've been working very hard over the last 2 years with many residents, many generous private corporate citizens that have made sort of ascertaining some of these alternative funding sources possible. So I would extend it to Councilor DeBona that if you would like to partner down at Ward 2 to sort of advance this, you're more than welcome, and we can use all the creative outside-the-box revenues. I think right now we're up over $75,000. Again, very little by me, organized by local Quincy residents and made possible by some general corporate citizens. And I appreciate, and I'll get to this at the end, but I appreciate what you've done in your short time as commissioner. Councilor Yang.
Thank you, Chairman Paul. Good evening, Paul. My first question for you is, with these estimates here, they are all round numbers, but and I know you also mentioned that we do have to put out requests for proposals as well for the work. Do we have a contingency built into the estimates that are in front of us tonight? do we have a contingency built into the estimates that are in front of us, or is this simply based off of estimates for the work alone?
We do have contingency, and that's not to say it's padded.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the things that we got like an engineer's probable opinion of cost. Some got rounded up, some got rounded down.
So what's the average percentage that we're looking? Are we applying it to all of the line items across the board?
There's no one line item for contingency, if that's what you're asking. But
Well, no, but so I'm saying, are you applying a contingency to the grand total, or are you applying it to each item as it's listed on here?
kind of the grand total. It's
Okay.
it's baked in. Like I say, some of the numbers rounded down, some rounded up. Unfortunately, since this was prepared, I would suggest that some of them are probably higher than when we first prepared this list, so we may actually not get them all. So, unfortunately, this type of a thing, the contingency sometimes is one of the projects doesn't get done. But, you know, we're comfortable in these pricing. We either got actual estimates from vendors. We have engineers opining on the probable opinions. We've taken off from like the seating we just built as a central middle school. We know what the seating costs, the number by, cost per seat times number of seats, that's our cost. We have allowances for phase projects. So if I've got $300,000 here for lining at North Quincy High School, that's not doing the whole building. We'll do $300,000 worth and then be back later. So that's one of the ones I can't possibly get over. You just stop, so it's baked in throughout the document. There's no one line item, and there's not like an escalation on the bottom line.
Okay, and any projects that won't get done, I see in one of the documents you gave us, it says there's a project schedule here, and I'm sure that's a moving schedule. 2017 says phase 1, 2018 you have phase 2, and then 2019 finished major capital projects included in the first 2 years. So depending on how the projects go for the first phase, are we going to hold on the remaining projects until that first phase is done, or are we just going to keep moving forward as each year goes?
I think as we go forward for the next year's cast out for funding, we'll then know where we stand on these. So it'll either be it's completed or underway or in the design stage. But we would report to you at the time of the next ask the status of each of these projects at that time. And then it's obviously within your purview to continue the particular one that we haven't executed yet on, or to advance the second or third phases, whatever point in time that is.
And at that time, we can also take a look at any projects that maybe we could not have met to possibly roll that into the second or third phase as well, correct?
Correct. Like, for instance, I'm just using it because it's an easy one, but the lighting.
Mm-hmm.
So we put an allowance in for this year. We do that much lighting. We come back, say, all right, we've completed that. We need another tranche of money. We can do the next 3 floors or whatever it is, or we can scale it back into 2 floors, depending on the circumstance and the finances at the time. But it's just the nature of this. It's just the need is so great that we're never going to be short of projects. We're just always going to be short of funding.
I absolutely agree with you. I too, like my colleagues, I've had the opportunity with Mike Palaza and some of the team here to go through some of the fire stations, and it's absolutely terrifying when you're walking underneath this one that's being held up by jacks, and there's a 60,000-pound fire truck above your head. I mean, it's incredibly terrifying.
Right.
So you look and you look at instances like that, the asbestos we have in our schools, the heating system in the Kennedy Center that's not working right now. And again, you do have this set up in phases. So did you go through with each department and say, of course, all of these are urgent matters, but in order to get this third piece done, we need to, roll out this first phase first? Or what was the thought process behind how you rolled out these projects?
I did meet with the representatives of the fire union and kind of prioritize their needs and their wish lists. And again, some of the more urgent ones are the ones that I've done out of my budget. I met with the Board of Trustees for the library and a couple of times with Megan Allen and get their priorities as far as, if there's 50 items, there's 10 here, and that's their primary concern at this point. And then myself, the lawyer in my head, looking at the public safety ones, is someone going to fall on the broken sidewalk and lose a hip, and then we're going to pay litigation, but fix the sidewalk, and not to mention her quality of life issue. So there's some things that just scream they have got to get done now. So there wasn't even a question on some of them.
And you did mention, and I do want to take an opportunity to thank as well. You said you met with the team over at the fire department, the fire chief, and I want to thank them for being here and for coming and speaking on behalf of all the work that they've done and what they need. They are sort of fixer-uppers themselves, and they've gone in and painted the walls themselves. They've taken it upon themselves to not even, at that point report it because they say we can just take care of this ourselves, and that should not be their primary goal. Their primary goal should be being our first responders here in the city. You mentioned Megan Allen, the Board of Trustees of the library. They're absolutely phenomenal, and they do. They work under a very conservative budget, but they provide a number of programs to the city, not just with the books, but with children's programs, movie nights, classes where volunteers are teaching other residents here in the city. And with the schools, Paul Bergoli is here tonight as well, and our schools are in desperate need of repair. And we talk a lot about all the work that's going into the downtown right now, the infrastructure in the downtown, which is necessary, but folks have said, and we're absolutely right, we have to acknowledge that we can't ignore the rest of the city. Band-Aids aren't going to work. They're not going to last. Band-Aids are costly, but they're temporary. And, we can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. I understand that, there are other things that we need to address across the city as well, but we can't let, what other item that might be out there hold us back from items that we know are in front of us now, items that all of you have worked hard on getting estimates for. And so I appreciate all of the work that you and all the departments have put into it. And I look forward to supporting this work and seeing it get done on time and on schedule and moving forward from there. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Council. Any further questions for Ms. Finn, Council Finn?
Commissioner Hines, I guess the one thing I think that question that I just simply have is, including in this is money that would be used for an acquisition regarding the St. Mary's site. Is that accurate?
To be completely frank, I don't know if it's the same council order or if that's a separate council order. I'd have to.
That is separate.
Have to beg off to the clerk on that one.
Yep. So, are these things, are we taking all these particular items separately related to a bond authorization?
Is that a question?
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. So the original ask was 25 million cumulative, I believe, and then that was when we went to break. We went on break. We came back, and essentially they've been parsed out to 4 different appropriations.
Okay.
So what we're on tonight, obviously, is 2017-132, and the I mentioned St. Mary's is 134.
Got it.
So
Yep.
Separate order.
So whenever we consider that,
correct. Yep.
when we see that separate order come in, we're going to see appraisals associated with all of that, correct? Just to be certain.
Yes.
Okay.
That's not my world anymore, but yes, they will be.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
When they build a building, then it's my world.
Got it. Thanks.
Are you all set, Councilor? Okay. Yeah.
Very good way of doing it.
Yep. So that my understanding is that discussion will ensue on Wednesday evening of this week.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any further discussion, Brian? Council comment?
Thank you. Mr. Hines, true or false, none of these problems existed before we made you Commissioner of Public Works, or Public Buildings.
Many more existed.
Yeah, right. That's not what I hear. Couple of quick questions. You had said that there was no, Councilor DeBona had asked about reimbursement, and one of the documents that I received, there's several indications that we're seeking reimbursement from the MSBA. Replace 7 modular boilers with 3 high-efficiency boilers / MSBA. Replace 1 steam boiler with MSBA funding.
You may be, with all due respect, you may be looking at an old version of the CIP list.
Okay, I don't know. I just look at what you guys give me. Whether it's old or new, I don't.
Okay. On the current request, there's no boiler work. The boiler work was funded last year, the $60,000 for design. I believe there's already been the project funding agreement because those boilers are going in as we speak.
So, okay, so have you ever seen this color-coded document?
In
Public Building Master Request, year 1, year 2, year 3.
Yeah, that's
Talking about Beechwood Knoll.
I believe that's several months stale.
Okay.
But those boiler projects are literally in the ground as we speak right now.
So all of the boiler projects that we're moving forward on, we are receiving MSBA funding.
They went forward under the accelerated program of MSBA with the reimbursements.
And that's not included in what you're asking for?
Correct.
That was included in previous requests that you asked for and were granted.
Correct.
Okay. Now, one of the questions I have is why you started by saying it's a lot of money. Why are we biting this all off at once with the borrowing?
What needs to be done. This is my understanding in the realm of what's being retired and existing debt. So it's really a lateral on the overall debt burden of the city. This is a doable amount.
No, I'm not talking about the amount. So I get that, and we're going to have, the financial folks, the chair of the finance committee has arranged to have financial folks come and talk to us about what this does with our bond rate, all that. So I'm not talking about the amount. I'm talking about the process by which we're biting it off in one bite, $12 million right off the rip, and then you're going to figure out the rest of it over the next couple of years. How are you going to apply it? Why are we not saying, okay, we have a couple of projects here that are ready to go, so we ask for $2.5 million, and then you move forward on that. And as the next project's ready to go, you come back to us and ask for whatever money's needed then.
I think we may have a difference of understanding of what the time frame of this is. This isn't several years expenditures. This is get this done now.
Well, no, it's not. I mean, I take issue with that. This whole plan is a 5-year capital improvement plan. Some of these costs are the initial costs. So for the exploration of the feasibility of the conjoined emergency services headquarters, this is just the feasibility study. That's just year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. As we move forward, there'll be more costs.
And that's when those funding requests will happen.
Right. So why not borrow the money, seek authorization to borrow the money as the projects are ready to go?
Well, in that particular instance, it's exactly
that one's ready to go, right? That one's ready to go.
So the procurement's been done. They get assemble the committee. They'll make a selection and they'll execute based on the $500,000. When it comes time to go to construction documents and such, they will then have their estimating. They'll be back for funding. That's a several-year project. That one. All these others are not several years. These are like 1-year projects.
So everything's going to be done within 1 year, is what you're telling me. The $12 million we vote to authorize tonight, your committing will be all complete in.
I'm not saying the work will be done, but a substantial portion will be under contract, and I have to have the money to get the contracts in place. I can't sign a contract without the funding.
When you say a substantial portion, what won't be? What won't be under contract in a year?
Can I stand here right now and tell you the particulars? No.
So that speaks to my point is why not ask us for the money as the projects come up?
Because I can't get it under contract unless I have funding. I can't sign the contract unless the money's in the account. So,
This is, I feel as though we're in a chicken and the egg conversation because you're saying you can't get the contract until you get the funding, and I'm saying you shouldn't get the funding until you tell me how much the contract is. All right, that's where we're at.
You explain the contract. Yeah, okay. I can't do that.
All right. Why are we carpeting the high school?
Because it's carpeted now, and truly, I mean, I can show you photographs of some of them. One through, and even some of the classrooms, one through the carpeting, one through the plywood subfloor they put down in 1978, and back to the original birch floor.
Let me rephrase the question. Why would we install carpeting moving forward in a high school? So I'm not disputing that there is a need for new flooring. My question is, why would it be carpet? It's a high school.
Because
I mean, anyone who knows a high schooler, you see how little attention to care and whatnot they pay.
The new high school has carpeting in it. There's some spaces, the library, acoustics, atmosphere, aesthetics, the carpet is better. Carpet actually lasts longer than does floor tile if it's properly maintained. So it's a more durable product. The problem is the carpets in that school are more than twice their anticipated useful life.
$40,000 for the AC and $90,000 for the elevator at the library?
This year alone.
Yeah. What line of your budget did that come out of?
Contractual.
And that was the entire budget?
No.
Oh, that was that's nearly $1 million that you have? That line item?
It's the line 303 is the last four digits in the old
Yeah. Yeah, it's $950,000. Okay.
Yeah, it was a huge chunk.
All right. And so just because you're in front of me and Mr. Walker's not here.
Oh, okay. You miss him.
Yeah, I do a little bit. Couple of questions. So when we were first presented, again, you agree with me, it's a 5-year capital plan, right? Capital improvement plan?
Overall, I would agree with you.
Okay. And this was first presented to us by the mayor on May 2nd, 2016. We first got a chance to discuss it on May 25th, 2016. At that time, Mr. Walker had represented to this body, one, that the mayor will offer a citywide traffic and parking plan as part of the capital improvement plan, which I think to some degree has been done. There was also discussion at that time that we would be presented with a study to determine where a new fire station would be located.
Okay.
Can you speak to that?
At the public safety headquarters, not specifically a fire station, correct?
I don't know. I have my notes. Study to determine where a new station will be located.
That may have been, would it be incorporated into the new police headquarters or not? It may have been in that realm or in that conversation. Should it be incorporated in it, should it be standalone? And that's one of the things that have come out of this feasibility study that we're asking be funded.
And so are you familiar with the work? Okay, I'll let you off on that one. Are you familiar with the work that the some of the folks who spoke at the public hearing portion of the meeting tonight, some of the firefighters who spoke, referenced the I don't know what they call it, task force or ad hoc committee to look into making the repairs to the fire stations. Are you familiar with that work?
Yes.
Do you participate in that?
I did not.
Okay. But you...
I'm in the tail end of that. I've met and discussed with them the results of that, but I did not participate in forming that.
So whether it's as part of that or as part of your job of commissioner of public buildings, what do you say about making repairs on an ad hoc basis to some of these fire buildings? I mean, I'll just tell you where I'm coming from straight off, and you can speak to it. I've been in the West Quincy fire station. I have no doubt that it needs the repairs that are called for here, but I also have no doubt that it needs to be replaced. It's a small station. One of the folks who spoke tonight, I think it was Mike Palazzo, who said that the weight of fire trucks previously 40,000, now with 90,000. So you can see the floor crumbling, the concrete floor crumbling in the West Quincy fire station. And my concern as the representative of that area is that we've seen a significant amount of development in that area, okay, that hasn't occurred elsewhere on a similar basis in the city. And we don't have a ladder truck. that can service this part of the city. You look up at the Crown Colony project. You look at some of the things that are being built in southwest Quincy. We can't put a ladder truck in that building because it won't fit.
Sure.
So when I look at this, I don't dispute that this work needs to get done, but it's like, I don't know. It's
good money after bad.
Yeah. It's, at what point do we call it break even like we are with the police headquarters? I'm on board with that. You put funding requests in front of me for the headquarters. I'm on board with that. I've been in the police station. I've seen literally the wall is coming away from the building. I mean, there's no argument with that. That needs replacement. So when it comes to the fire station in West Quincy, and I can't speak. I don't have any basis to speak about the other stations. So there might be ones that are worse, and that sorry if there are. But in West Quincy, it seems to me like the next step should be looking at the feasibility of what it's going to cost and where it's going to be located to build a new station, not, making these, and we've been making these improvements, at least in the West Quincy station, for years now.
Correct.
And I remember my predecessor was fighting for development projects, commercial development projects that were going in to this area, and he was dedicating mitigation money from those projects to make some of these same kind of repairs to the West Quincy fire station.
I agree exactly with what you're saying, and I'll give you a perfect example. Sterling Middle School. It kills me to go spend money in Sterling Middle School. We're tearing it down.
Right.
But the kids are still in there. It still needs to be safe. The systems need to be functioning. And it's the same thing with these firehouses. The men are still living there. They're still fighting fires. They still report back that they still need to take showers. So I absolutely agree. We need some new firehouses. They're long overdue. Wollaston, I've got pictures here of the horses pulling the pumpers out of Wollaston Fire Station, and we're still using that. I absolutely agree with you. But until that happens, we have to maintain these for the people that are in them.
So let me take an anticipation out of it.
Renovations to them. We're making necessary maintenance repairs.
I don't know that I agree with that 100%, because some of the stuff we're doing is to make it suitable for modern firefighters to live in. I mean, that's kind of they weren't built with central AC, right? So one of the things we're doing is we're putting in AC for the reasons that were articulated very well earlier by the firefighters themselves. So it's not just maintenance, it's also we're essentially upgrading these things to modern technology.
Well,
because when that fire station was built, central air conditioning wasn't even an option. So my question to you is, I'll take the anticipation out of it. I'm going to support the request to make those improvements. So let's set that aside, and let's talk about when we're gonna have something before us to talk about new stations, whether it be in West Quincy or if Wollaston's a priority. No, that's fine. But let's, just like we have with the schools in North Quincy, the mayor has done an excellent job. This administration has done a superior job in improving our schools, building new schools, capitalizing on outside funding availability, and really maximizing our dollars. And you look around, you look at these new schools, you look at the shot of adrenaline it gives the neighborhood and the community. It's great. We should be doing the same with the fire stations. So that's my question to you: is when will this body hear something, the next step in terms of moving towards a listing of the priorities and which one we're going to tackle first?
I will bring that message to the mayor loud and clear, because I'm 100% agree with you. You keep looking shocked every time I say that.
It tells me I'm probably wrong, but
may I suggest something? The School Building Authority was created because municipalities couldn't afford to build the schools they needed. Maybe the firefighters union, and maybe it comes out of this body, proposes legislation that they create a similar type program for firehouses, and then we can go get the state funding and do the match and do this. The firefighters is a very strong union. If it went before the legislature, I think it would pass, and that would help our town, our city, and all municipalities to do this. I mean, it has to happen. I couldn't give you a ballpark right now to save my life what a fire station would cost, but I know it's not cheap.
Well, when I see an animal shelter costs $7.1 million, I can only imagine what a fire station is going to cost. But we're talking about, again, this is a balance of priorities, and Councillor DeBoner often says needs versus wants. Everything in here is a need. Everything in the capital improvement plan is a need. But at a certain point, we're going to expend all of our ability to borrow monies on an annual basis. I mean, that's the plan with these. So as we're exhausting more and more of our resources, we need to be able to look to the timeline to say, okay, we all agree as a policy statement. I mean, that's what I think the capital improvement plan is a policy statement that we're all agreeing to, okay, over the next 5 years, these are what we're saying are the priorities in this order. We've already tackled the 5-year plan from 2006. The first thing we moved on was roads. There needs to be about 5 more of these to come back in for more and more roads, because that was a drop in the bucket to what needs to be done across the city. But I would like to see something added about, or something put together where we can put pen to paper and there's a presentation before us as to the fire stations we're looking at, the order in which we're looking at, just like we have with the schools. You know, there was committees put together 10, 20 years ago. Councilor McFarland was always up there talking about how one of the first things he got involved in was the Sterling and the Central rebuilding committees, or whatever they were at the time. And that was, 20 years ago. So I think we need to have a similar effort when it comes to fire stations. I think we do pretty good with our libraries. You look at the most public buildings that are around in the worst shape, I think it's the fire departments. I mean, it's the fire stations. And it looks like we're well on the way to tackling the police station, right? There's only one of them. We're going to tackle that with the fire headquarters. I'd like to see something. So, I don't know, I might just ask you every time you come up before us about that. But if we could, perhaps, put together a committee and start ranking them in terms and figuring out how much they're going to cost and putting that on a 5-year timeline to build. So, all right, that wasn't a question. That was just me filibustering here. Thank you, Mr. Hines.
My pleasure.
Any further discussion on the order before us here this evening? I'll close sort of with this, Paul, being mindful of the idea that I want to recycle everything that was already said. But, when you think about, spending, it is a function of municipal government. And while I listen to, the ideology about managing the debt service schedule and the long-term debt that we have outstanding, we also will be and will continue to be the beneficiary of some net new revenues taking place by this construction growth. And just so the body knows, because I did have the discussion with the assessor, those numbers won't be available until, I believe, late October, just because of the Department of Revenue certification. But if we're going off last year's numbers, and I do believe I sent it out to folks, it was roughly $3.5 million. So it's not a matter of, and that's net new growth, right? That's as of last year. Projects online, paying taxes to the city of Quincy. But it's not so much about, a bondish blushing. In my mind, it's like, there's an A and there's a Z. My opinion is how we manage the B to Y and the expenditures that happen between A and Z that will really determine who we are fiscally and how we manage, the tax base. And as it pertains to your presentation here this evening, my humble opinion is, these are brick and mortar projects, right? They're sustainable to a large degree. We are custodians of these public assets, whether we want to admit that or not. We are. Until they're not public assets anymore, my opinion is, we need to maintain them. And sometimes, when I sit here and I listen to, the dialogue that was shared here this evening, all of which was great, and I'm very excited that the public came out to participate. But these are sort of common sense investments, and if you take sort of the analogy, and this is how I was conceptually trying to walk through it, I'm a homeowner. I'm a homeowner and a taxpayer. And I know, and my wife's right, I know and my wife know that every year we're going to be accountable for, owning and maintaining our property. And we also know, And I'm afraid that if we decide not to maintain, we're going to end up with a horrendous bill sometime in the near future. So when I consider sort of the investment or the continued maintenance in public buildings, again, we're custodians of these assets, and I feel that it is our obligation to increase general quality of life at the fire stations. Like, this is just average daily occurrence, having showers at work and ceilings that don't leak mold, and same thing for libraries and schools. I feel like this is all pretty conservative in the approach, and much to you sharing here this evening, something I'm certainly comfortable with. And just to kind of sort of put a bow around it, and I guess talk about real briefly the Ward 2 component, I'm assuming that there's a lot of people excited about that project down there. Someday we'll get it all done.
Mm-hmm.
Someday we'll get it all done. I'll just keep my fingers crossed. But someday we'll get it all done. And you've been great. You have been great in terms of dealing with. I know you're going to be ripping windows out this week, and ultimately putting on a new Hardy Plank exterior, all donated by many. We talk about outside creative resources, generous corporate citizens who have stepped up and answered the bell. But I'm assuming that the abatement of the asbestos, because it's a building celebrating 100 years old, right? That's how they built stuff back then, was the heavy concentration of asbestos. Am I to assume, but I never assume anymore, so I'll ask. Am I to assume that priority will be under contract to begin removal?
The removal plan is already prepared. It's a matter of signing the contract.
That's excellent. That's good news. So, barring no other questions from my my fellow council, you got another one? You're in my seat.
Do my colon.
That should be over there. How'd you get over there?
Can I just ask one question? I forgot to ask it when I was over there. The drainage study, $500,000.
Drainage study?
You familiar with this? You've heard of this before?
Is it in my list?
Yeah, it's on the master CIP list. No, is it not?
Not me. I'll answer it. I just don't know what you're talking about.
That's all right. I'll ask somebody who knows what they're talking about. All right. That was good. See, that was easy. Yeah, I'm done.
So with that, I would entertain a motion, positive recommendation. Positive recommendation by Councilor Harris. All those in favor? Sure. I'd like to speak on motion. Please do.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to approve this and be on board with this. However, I think there needs to be a little bit more oversight on this. We're giving a big chunk of change here, and I'd like to see if I could, and we did this for the Teal Field project. I'm looking to get a monthly update on this, where we are in these projects, because I feel that's very important for us to have some oversight on this type of allocation. Can we do a monthly report and then a quarterly report and see where you're at with these projects? Because I'd like to be able to see where we're at, because as time goes along, as you know, prices go up in certain avenues. And so, in a nutshell, if this was approved, you're gonna put a ban on this for a year or 2 years. Can we get a little bit more clarification?
As in a bond anticipation?
Yeah. How are you going to do this?
They likely will issue bans because the interest rate is so low. It's a fraction of a percent. But they're not going to, as I said earlier, they're not going to sell a $12 million bond because you vote tonight. As these projects get under contract and start expending money, they will phase the bond sale. They won't do it dollar for dollar. They'll do tranches, but it won't be one fell swoop up front.
Okay.
You're not paying interest on money that's in your bank.
So as you take on the project or the allocated funding for each one, you'll take on the band?
The treasurer will, yes.
Okay, and then you'll take on the band, and then eventually over a 1 or 2 or 3 year interest-only loan, is that correct? And then you'll go to a bond?
It will go to bonds. Even with the special legislation, I don't think we can go out that far. I believe it's 2 years.
Okay, so a 2 year band, basically, the interest only, and then you'll bond it over to a 20 to 30 year note, basically. Is that correct?
And if it looks like the rates are escalating, they'll issue the bond earlier.
Okay, because this is important, because we're going to give you funding. I needed to see a little oversight on this one. to find out on a monthly basis and on a quarterly basis where we are with the projects on here. Is that fair enough?
Sure.
Thank you.
And I'll have the treasurer opine as to how much has been issued in bonding.
That's great, and then we can keep in contact with the auditor on where we are funding-wise. Is that okay? Thank you.
Council, I would even go so far as to say, if you wish, and I know there was some discussion when we approved the $80 million at the downtown, to make that part of a formal finance committee meeting. I just leave that at your discretion. But Mark, I'm not going to ask you to come up. You can just shake your head yes or no, finance director. But as you get these projects under contract, we're authorizing the ability for the city to borrow up to an amount. But as you actually get those under contract, that will legitimatize that particular amount. So say the contract comes in under, that's what you will borrow for. Correct. Correct, Mark? So the difference doesn't go to the house. It ceases and desists at the actual number that is committed to per contract. Correct? Correct. So that's an important, delineation as we kind of consider this. And like I said, I'm more than happy to make the committee floor, available for Councilor DeBona and anyone else for that matter that wants updates. So we do have a positive, a motion for a positive recommendation made by Councilor Harris, and all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. We'll take this out of committee believe it or not, we're not in the regular city council meeting, but we will take this out of committee at the end of the regular city council meeting with a positive recommendation. So thank you this evening for the presentation, Paul. Councilors, the next item on the agenda.
Excuse me, may I ask, beg your indulgence, would that be tonight or another evening?
What's that?
The regular council meeting.
Oh, we can bring it up tonight. Yeah,
Okay.
of course. The next item on the agenda is actually Council Order 2017-136, which is an appropriation for $128,030 for the Mayor's Drug Task Force, and I'm not particularly sure who's going to present. Laura. Okay. Hi, Laura. Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you. Microphone. May I actually approach you? Have a copy of that? May I approach?
Oh, of course, please.
Thank you. Like talking points, but it's should I proceed, Council?
Thank you.
Oh, should I go ahead? Sure. Thank you. I believe that you have, I'm not sure, is the budget the only proposal that you have, and then my job description was also provided.
Yes, Councilor.
-136, and in aid of that, perhaps Laura could just tell us a little bit about, Ms. Martin could tell us a little bit about what her work for the city is and what she's been working on since she's been in that position.
Certainly.
Thank you. So I had separated it into the areas that I've kind of delineated since I've been in the role since last October. And I've been working with the different departments throughout the city, and I hope to work further with council members to kind of do an assessment on the needs throughout the city as it relates to substance use disorder. I do know that currently we're in the opiate crisis, but anyone that's in the field knows that substance use in general, be it alcoholism, marijuana, pills, it's kind of that broader issue that I take under the purview of what I think my role is. So I've been working with a lot of the community partners, the first responders, and the different departments throughout the city to kind of gauge what the perceived issues are, and then to look at data for what the issues as they really are relating to overdoses, relating to issues of people needing support around other substance abuse, alcohol. So I've been working with the schools. The schools are doing a fabulous job, and we've been working on getting more funding. We're actually having next week, I presented to council prior, and I talked about the collaboration with Children's Hospital. We're going to be developing a curriculum for kids. It's going to be aimed at middle school and high school, which all of the research on substance use prevention shows that that's the appropriate age to start teaching kids. And the curriculum is going to be developed by Dr. Sion Harris and Dr. John Kelly. They're leading experts in substance abuse for children and adolescents at Children's. And they're going to be teaching about the disease of addiction. I'm sure, as all of you have heard, that the Surgeon General stated that substance use disorder is a disease, and it's a brain disease, and they've done a lot of work in the past on when you teach children about it being a disease, it helps for the interventions and the prevention. So that's really exciting. That's going to be a science-based curriculum, and we're meeting with the science teachers and Children's Hospital next week to go over the implementation of that. So that's going on. That's a fund with Blue Cross Blue Shield and with Children's Hospital. And then we've also been doing, we're hoping to start a program at the Quincy Medical Center, partnering with some of the local facilities and treatment centers to help get people into treatment immediately upon being in the emergency room. Right now there's a bit of a lag. People can get there. They are brought by first responders after an overdose, and we're hearing a lot from first responders that they were then bringing those same individuals back to the hospital, sometimes hours after their release when they went back to the substance they were using. And then if it was fentanyl laced, which a large majority of the opioids and the heroin are, they were then being retransported to the hospital. So this is a collaboration, and some of the funding in the budget that I've asked for is for support for that program to help have access to a 24-hour hotline for Quincy residents. It's going to be in collaboration with some of the partners that are already doing placement, so that if someone wants a detox facility, they'll be given the opportunity immediately upon being brought to the hospital once they've been medically stabilized. And that is scientifically, and it's shown through evidence that that's your best opportunity to get somebody willing to go into treatment. Once they leave, we're it puts them back at risk for overdose, and it puts them back at risk for not wanting to get help at that time. So we've also been working, I've been working with Bay State and Manit, and we're looking at doing a community needs assessment. I've actually put that into the budget request. I remember when I had spoken to council and done a presentation on what I anticipated doing, I had talked a lot about the perception of what's going on versus needing data. So the point behind the community needs assessment would kind of be so that I could gauge if what I was doing and the initiatives that I was trying to bring were actually having an effect, and kind of to give the community idea of what we need to do. Communities have gotten really creative, and there's a lot of ideas out there, but I think that it really needs to be narrowed to your specific community and the population you're serving. We have a lot of transients too as well, so we're serving people that are coming in and out of the city, and looking to have the best way to support them. And I've been working a lot with the first responders as well to assess needed support for what they're seeing, and then the overdose visits that are being conducted by Manit and the community police. They were monthly, and now they're happening every week, and we're looking to increase those. So that's actually some of the funding that I was requesting, because we're finding that it's also really, really important to have someone in recovery or someone that understands the system to be able to help people access treatment at that point. So we're also looking to do a lot of prevention and awareness events throughout the community with the new recreational marijuana. I think that's very important that we educate parents and educate kids about the dangers of that marijuana, especially with edibles. It's a reality. It's happening. You look at a gummy bear and you're really not that concerned, but there's a huge, huge risk. Medically, it's very, very dangerous to children if it gets in their hands, and I think we as a community need to look at educating everyone, including parents and people, about the risks that are associated with the new potency. So that is kind of an overview. I could take any questions that anyone has and anything specific to the budget.
Thank you, Laura. There is a motion to approve made by Councilor Palmucci. Any help that? You need a second. Do you have anything? No?
Yes. Yep. I don't want to kind of you can ask questions. I want to make an amendment before we vote on it, but I'll yield to anyone who has questions. Councilor Phelan.
Mr. Chairman, I also want to make, this is a budget neutral item, is it not? So again, to me, it's a real no-brainer, quite honestly, with that side. And again, I've had 7 kids go through, well, 3 still within the public school system, and again, it's a serious, serious issue, particularly in our high schools. And I wish you the best, particularly in addressing it in those schools. And the fact that this is budget neutral makes it even better, that we're able to build a source of revenue to make it work. So,
thank you.
Thanks.
One question.
Oh, sure. Please, Councilor Park.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to Laura. I just had a question. I think this is great. I'm thrilled that you're on board, that you're really connecting so many of the nonprofit organizations that do such great work, social service agencies. You just had referenced follow-up on overdoses, and I was just curious, can you walk me through what your process is? When an overdose comes in, you're working with public safety, you then get notified, and what is the outreach? Walk me through what a family, I've heard from families, didn't realize a family member was using until found them non-responsive, right? So a lot of times it's that shock. So I guess I'm looking for what is it, walk me through that step.
Well, so I worked with the police and with MANIT to establish that program, and then it had been starting in October, and then when I came on, I worked with Kim from MANIT and then the police, the community police, Pat Glynn. So they're doing the weekly overdose visits. So what that looks like is there's a list, and then the community police go over it, and then they go out with an outreach worker from MANIT. So she's specialized in talking to people about what their substance use needs are, harm reduction. It's funny that you said the family, because to be quite honest, at this point, that's probably the most important thing, that the outreach is reaching, because a lot of the family isn't aware that their loved one who they thought was in recovery had relapsed. So it's actually sad, but one of the best things is that we're training families on Narcan. Man, it's been amazing in that, and it's really about harm reduction right now, the drugs out there. As much as we'd love to say we're getting everybody into treatment, it's not really a reality right now. Relapse is huge. The drugs, I went to a symposium on Friday, and they said that if you look at a sugar packet, it's 1,000 milligrams is the weight in that, and 2 milligrams is what Central takes to put you into an overdose. So kind of puts into perspective the importance of the harm reduction. So they're giving a lot of education to the family members. I created a city resource guide that has all our local resource facilities. Then there's Learn to Cope, there's grief support groups. We created a child support group that's being run out of Bay State that I worked on in collaboration with them. I don't say I created it, because I kind of pushed them and worked with them, and they created an entire curriculum that's available for Quincy children that are dealing with this. So we give information about that. And then we're hoping, and some of the budget that I'm looking at is for helping that there'll be more follow-up so that if someone was interested in treatment, instead of just giving them a packet, we can somehow, when you have someone that's invested and actually asking for help, it'd be really great to literally hold their hand and walk them through it, because that's sometimes what it takes. So right now the police are going out weekly. They go out on Wednesdays. The program is overseen by Pat Glynn, and the community police are doing it with the outreach workers. And then they're collecting data on what's effective, and so we're hoping to really kind of amp it up.
So the police are doing the follow-up with the user themselves, and information is then given to family members to connect them as referrals, whether it's, Bay State has, really been a go-to.
So they're doing it at the residence of the individual that overdosed within the city. So they're going to the home. Sometimes the individual's not there, so they'll give the family the information. But the packet of information is information not just for the individual, but for the family as well. And the outreach worker will talk to whomever is there and willing to talk. It's not a forceful thing where you have to be respectful of the boundaries. So if someone's not willing to talk, but their family are, then they're doing that.
Right. I think, are these packets, have you made them available on the city website?
Well, so that the website's I'm actually working on the website right now, and I have the formula. I have the format, and then they're just going to Gordon over at the IT and Chuck are going to post it. So you'll be able to, whenever I get any information about any new resources, new programs, everything's going to go up there. And then Mark, Carey, and Chris will help me to then divert it to the different City of Quincy platforms. We're also going to be doing, because we're partnering with, Fox Rock is going to be paying for open gym. So every Friday night, there's now going to be the opportunity for kids to go from 6 to 9 to an open gym. So we're focusing on stopping bad behaviors before they start, because prevention is key, and then the intervention and treatment will be where those follow-up visits will come.
Right, and I like how you mentioned holding their hands and getting them to the treatment. And I find often calls come into me of someone who's a family member in crisis, and you're whether I'm referring them to you or the different social service agencies. But I am definitely looking to get that information to the people who aren't. It's a tough phone call to make when you're asking for a loved one for help, and sometimes it's helpful when that homework is easily available. And so I'm glad you're moving in that direction. You've done a lot since October.
It's a tough phone call to make, and the hope is that the information will just be out there so that people don't have to make the phone call, because some people still with the stigma don't want to make the phone call. So it should be available to everyone in the city. The mayor's behind, having that all, and so I think
it's important, for those to make a phone call. I myself have been the recipient of a lot of, hey, geez, Margaret will consider resources. She's someone who's helpful. And having you as a local resource to represent our city has been a great help to me for some of my constituents personally. So I'm grateful that the mayor has created this position, that you are working across the different departments, different social service agencies, because it does take a team, and I'm glad you're the right person for the job, Laura. So thanks so much.
To the bone.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Laura, I just want to say thank you for all your hard work. We're coming in here looking for an allocation of prevention. We're preventing the situation. Just want to talk a little bit about fentanyl and carfentanil, and it changes the whole dynamics of this awareness and what we have out there on the street today. The Narcan situation that we're having, you see a $20,000 allocation for substance use for inside the schools. Where will this be allocated towards? Is this towards middle school or high school or both?
It's actually, it's substance use prevention awareness and education programming. So it's not just for the schools, it's also community-based. So it'll be the schools do, and I work with Morb Appeal and them, they create a schedule of the events that are going to be coming throughout the year. So we have a tentative schedule right now, and then as we're meeting with different people, and I've been able to get some donations from community members for some programs, and now the hope is that a lot of these programs are evidence-based, so you'll have certain speakers that come in and they do a prevention piece and then they do a real-life story. So the hope is to be able to expand those programs. So programs that are already funded that the school has through the Mayor's Wellness Fund and through the Thompson family. If we see a need, it would be really great to start the prevention programs in the middle school. So that would kind of be for stuff that I would be looking to do within the schools, but also I think it's very important, the public awareness events. So, some community forums on what's going on, where it's an open forum where we can provide resources. We hope to do, I don't know where I put, it's really important that we have a community Narcan training, and I've been talking to a number of people about that. They do that in other communities. So I believe that's actually under the recovery and wellness request. But the programming would be within the schools, but also within the different areas that families and people with children of the age that are most susceptible to substance use would be. So kind of looking at different venues right there. I have like a number of events. I've pre-screened all the events that I would be wanting to bring, so I've gone and seen them. I've seen a lot of speakers that speak to parents, which is important, that I would be looking to bring to the community. So I'm not really sure of the exact location right now, so that's to fit in with the schedule.
Okay, I know when I was in the school committee, we had a lot of activists come into the high schools. Are we looking to possibly transition that into going into middle schools as well with this type of funding, or in general, what we're looking to do?
Well, so an activist, do you mean? Like
Activists, parents that have lost
sharing their experience.
They've lost loved ones, children.
So I think that it's really important, and I would kind of want to defer that to, if I was talking with Maura right now, to
Sure.
the talks working with the school department, because you want to make sure those stories are age appropriate.
Sure.
Sometimes it's difficult to have a parent come in and talk about the toll that, a heroin loss has had on someone when you're speaking to a smaller audience. So I've actually been working with the city of Boston, but also talking to DPH about age-appropriate interventions. Those are some of the things that I would be looking to bring. So you do almost more of a theater or some sort of a role-playing. You're teaching them about substances, but you're teaching them at a level that they cognitively can understand and process. It's been proven that you can't scare someone away from doing this, so I wouldn't want to bring speakers in, especially to that level. At the high school age, they can process it. They're at an age where they can self-process, but middle school, that's tough to present, my son used heroin and then he died, because we don't know what everyone's going through at home, so you're not really sure the impact that's going to have. So I don't want to not answer you, but I just want to say the stuff I would be looking to be funding would be evidence-based stuff that's been found to be age appropriate, which I think is really important.
Thank you for your research on that. Thank you for working with me on the substance use hearings. We're going to get down the road here tonight. We're going to make a meeting and have a public meeting, public hearing input. And so I will keep you up to date with all that information as we get the other committees in order first. But thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor. Back to Councilor Phelan on the amendment.
Thank you. Obviously, I didn't say it before, but I think you're doing a good job too. So keep it up. And just to clarify what Councilor Finn was suggesting, it's revenue neutral because we're using the funding for all of this comes from our host agreement with Ermont, the medical marijuana facility located in West Quincy. And that was the host agreement that we had negotiated with them when we brought them in. We get a percentage of their revenue. And when we met with community members, we did the community meetings ahead of that process of locating the site there. The mayor and I had discussed how we'll dedicate that money towards substance abuse. So this is the fruition of several years of leading up to Laura's position and the efforts that she's making. So, good things come from planning ahead and grabbing that. And Councilor DeBona earlier was suggesting we need to be getting more out of some of the development happening. I think he's talking about commercial development and whatnot, but it's a prime example of how we can get more. We're using a little bit of money that they give us as a percentage to fund something that's just terrific. I mean, I don't know of any other communities that are doing this. If there are, I'm sure they're few and far between. We really go above and beyond in Quincy from the leadership that the administration has taken on equipping first responders with Narcan, now to this. And it's a testament to the city, how seriously we take this issue and how really ahead of the curve we are in trying to get our hands on it. So with that, I would like to make a motion. I would like to make an amendment, just minor, to 2017-136. In that first line, after the word mayors, I would like to add office for the purpose of the, so that it reads, sum of is hereby appropriated to the mayor's office for the purpose of the drug task force as follows. I think that's just a little bit cleaner than to the drug task force. I don't think there'll be any issue. I talked about it with the auditor. There won't be any issue as to how that money goes in, and it'll still pay for everything it needs to pay for.
Great. So we have an amendment placed before us. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, I'm assuming you put in that amendment in the form of a motion.
Yeah.
So no further discussion on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. So thank you, Laura, for hanging in there. I know it's been a lengthy meeting.
On the amended motion? Yeah, I've moved the motion for passage of favorable recommendation for the Finance Committee as amended.
As amended, correct. So we'll take this out of committee at the end of the regularly scheduled City Council meeting with a positive recommendation. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? See none. Thank you again, Laura. Appreciate all your hard work. All right. So with that, folks, I will call the Finance Committee closed at 9:35, and we will transition over to the regularly scheduled City Council meeting.
Finance, Councillor Croall.
I'd like to move approval and also send a letter acknowledging the very generous gift by Schleger's Auto. Please.
We have a motion for approval seconded by Councillor DeBona. If the clerk would call the roll.
Councillor Croall.
Yes.
Councillor DeBona.
Yes.
Councillor Harris. Councillor LaForest. Councillor Liang. Councillor Palmucci. Chairman Finn.
Yes.
7 members.
The next item on the agenda, Madam Clerk. That item passes. Next item, please.
Yes. Number 2 on the agenda, 2017-157. A resolve, improving public recreational and athletic resources for the visually impaired.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This is actually a resolution. Now, to be clear, what this resolution simply does is that I'm asking that the mayor consider, obviously since we're not in a position to either appropriate resources for this or, for that matter, in my mind, actually name committees to address this. But it's specifically something that I'm doing on behalf of a person, a visually impaired person, living in Quincy who asked me to do it. And essentially, it kind of made a move on me because it was happening around the same time. Again, I'm an incredible college football fan. I love to watch college football, and I could only watch it every other year during, election cycles. But now I watch plenty of it. But I saw the story of this amazing Jake Olson, who in middle school was a person who actually lost both of his eyes because of some type of optical cancer. And interestingly enough, he was adopted by the University of Southern California's football team as a mascot and everything, and got to see before he lost his vision what it was like to be inside a football locker room, and he was practicing with the team. Well, after he lost that eye and was totally blind, he actually developed himself as a long snapper for his high school. And just not this past week, but the week before, he actually made, again, the University of Southern California's football team, and actually came out and did a long snap at the end of the game that was successful for an extra point. And again, it's interesting as well because years ago, when in my day job, we had put out a request for we were trying to hire a person to come in to be kind of an administrative assistant. And this kid, he's not a kid anymore, walked through the door, and who it was Quincy's Alex Gray. And I don't know how many of you know Alex, but he's visually impaired. He probably gave one of the greatest high school commencement speeches I've ever heard when he was at North Quincy High. But he graduated from Boston College, and he worked with me for a couple of years, went back and actually, and again, I had no idea. He just walked in the office. People who went through the resume said he was the most qualified. With his adaptive technologies that they're able to use, he did as good a job as anybody. And he went on to get his law degree at Boston College as well, and now he actually works for the city of Boston. Incredible gentleman. Long and short of it is simply, what this person was asking me was, would it be possible that the city look at its recreational resources and think about the different ways those can be adapted to meet the needs of some visually impaired persons. And specifically had also asked, that a committee might be formed, not to just focus solely on adaptive things for people who are visually impaired or blind, but perhaps for all those people with certain disabilities, so that we can open up the benefits of exercise and athletic competition and those things to people who otherwise might not have that opportunity. So I thought that was pretty meaningful, and so what we're simply doing is sending this to the mayor and requesting that he take a look at this, which is perfectly reasonable to do. And I would, again, want to refer it to Parks and Recreation simply so that later we can say, Mayor, did you ever take a look at this? What are your thoughts on it? And so with that, I would just ask if we could pass this evening. A motion from Councillor Harris, seconded by Councillor Croall. On the motion? Chair recognizes Councillor Croall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really think this is a fine resolution. Quite honestly, and over the last year or so, I've had the privilege, and I do say the word, or do use the word privilege, to work with many different members of the community, as well as the park director, in hopes of bringing to fruition the city's first inclusive playground. And I can just tell you, as an individual, like having had this experience, has really kind of opened my eyes, and I completely agree with you. Whereas we're investing money in new facilities, investing money in new playgrounds, we have the opportunity to really reach everyone of every skill set, and it's just it's unbelievable. I spend a lot of time at playgrounds, as I know many folks around here have as well. And when you go over to like Hollis Playground in Braintree, and then there's another one on the Holbrook line, the amount of sensory equipment is amazing, quite honestly, and it's used, and providing a setting for folks regardless of your ability, and to your point, being fully adaptive and inclusive. I think it's just so important from a just from a community standard, and really reflects the values and standards that I believe that we offer as a city of Quincy. So I was really excited to see this on the agenda tonight, and look forward to supporting it and further discussions. But certainly tremendous amount of value in offering the service. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Chair recognizes Councillor Liang.
Thank you. I just wanted to take a second to thank you, Councillor Finn, for bringing this forward. I think that with the vast number of public spaces that we have here in the city, and the increasing number of public activities that we have to serve residents across our city, we do have a number of folks here that do have a variation of disabilities, and to be able to bring something like this forward to make sure that every activity that we have here in the city, as we grow and as we get larger, that every family and every person is able to attend and be a part of that community. So thank you for bringing this forward. I'm very passionate about it. I am grateful for you bringing this forward, and I will fully support it 100%. Thank you.
Any other further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, if the clerk would please call the roll.
Councillor Croall.
Yes.
Councillor DeBona.
Yes.
Councillor Harris. Yes. Councillor LaForest. Yes. Councillor Liang. Yes. Councillor Palmucci.
Yes.
Chairman Finn.
Yes.
7 members.
So copies be referred to the mayor and another to the Parks and Recreation.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think
We have that concludes the regular agenda. Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the previous meeting minutes, including your package. So moved by Councilor Liang, seconded by Councilor DeBona. All those in favor? The minutes are approved. Communications and reports from the mayor and other city officers and city boards. Madam Clerk.
I don't have anything at this time. Communication.
All right. Did we not have a couple of things that we thought that were requests that need to be? They did come in. Okay, so that'll come through Public Works. Okay, great. Thank you. So you miss one meeting and you lose track. So unfinished business of the preceding meeting.
Yes, we do have some unfinished business. 2017-137 in order for the Department of Public Works Administrative Reorganization.
Chair recognizes Councilor Harris.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve. Move the motion. Yep.
You have a second? For the Public Works Committee, we have a second to approve. Wait a second from Councilor Palmucci. Is there any discussion again? Excuse me, any discussion on the motion? Yeah, Councilor Harris.
On the motion, this is one of the things that we do. We try to save the taxpayers' dollars. The restructuring of the jobs that are being taken place will save the taxpayers money. Plain and simple. The job that I do during the day, this is very common, where we take jobs, we eliminate overtime by restructuring the jobs where there isn't any overtime. I think it's a smart move on. It would be a smart move on this council's part. And I commend our new commissioner of Public Works on starting this. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? Councilor Palmucci.
Just very briefly, I think we all know we have a new commissioner of Public Works, who I'm sure will do a fantastic job. He did a great job in his last role. I've said this once before up here, and that was when the mayor chose his last commissioner of Public Works. But I think the cook should be able to choose his own ingredients. And so if we hold the DPW commissioner to a high level, a high standard here, and we have a high level of expectation of him, we should give him the resources that he says he needs in order to reach that level. And if he doesn't, well, then we can have words with him. But for right now, he's asking us for some resources, and I think we should give them to him. So I'll be supporting the motion.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion on the motion? The chair recognizes Councilor DeBona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank the DPW Commissioner for basically saving the city $56,000 on these allocation. There's going to be more duties that are required for the other positions, so they're going to have more work to be doing. So to take a position out and to add some, I guess you call it, different responsibilities and different workloads, this is a smart move. And they didn't go back to the well and say we need more funding. They said we're going to cut this position and we're going to add some responsibilities and work duties to these other things and save the taxpayer $56,000. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, if the clerk could call the roll.
Councilor Croall. Councilor DeBona. Yes. Councilor Harris. Yes. Councilor Forrest. Yes. Councilor Liang. Yes. Councilor Palmucci. Yes. Chairman Finn.
Yes.
7 members.
Reports of committees. The First, Public Works Committee. Chair recognizes Councillor Liang.
This evening we had a public hearing on Council Order 2017-155 for Verizon's the pole relocation to Quincy Avenue. Positive recommendation.
Chair recognizes Councillor Croall.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I think that for a moment. But this project directly affects, this pole relocation directly affects a project taking place on Quincy Avenue, which, as many folks probably drive it, and I am intimately familiar with it, having pretty much lived there. The goal of this exercise is to, help the utility companies do what they need to do so that the site minimizes, construction trips per day. So by moving this pole, I believe that we're on that track. And by moving this pole, I think we kind of help protect the best interests of the already existing residents who live next to the ongoing project to, help the developer move this along towards, a positive project completion. So that's why, obviously, we're seeing this here this evening. And, with that, I would like to second. So thank you.
We have a motion to positive to move, seconded by Councillor Croall. On the motion, Councillor Palmucci.
Thank you. Perhaps through you, Mr. President, to Councillor Croall, who seems to know more about this than I do. This is moving the pole. We're not talking about installing a new pole.
Correct. This is a movement of a pole, which if you
so I don't have to invoke.
It'll be there. It'll be there in the morning. You can drive by it, and it's clear obstruction for the project. So
I won't invoke the Palmucci requirement that if they're putting up one pole, they have to take down two double poles.
We're not going to put a kickstand on it either.
Okay. All right. I'll support it.
Completely moving, but
Thank you.
And you're a staunch advocate.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, if the clerk could please call the roll.
Councillor Croall.
Yes.
Councillor DeBona.
Yes.
Councillor Harris. Councillor LaForest.
Yes.
Councillor Liang. Yes. Councillor Palmucci.
Yes.
Chairman Finn.
Yes.
7 members.
And Councillor Liang, I understand that there's forget it. We're all set. It's taking me a while to get back and make this smooth. But again, the chair recognizes chair of the Finance Committee, Councillor Croall.
You look great up there. Don't want anyone to tell you different. So we had hosted as a committee earlier this evening a public hearing regarding multiple bond authorizations, but had deliberations specifically around Council Order 2017-132, which is an appropriation as amended for $11,536,000 for public buildings, computer software upgrades. The committee came forth with a positive recommendation, and I would like to move approval.
We have a motion for approval from the chairman, Councillor Croall. Do we have a second? Seconded by Councillor Liang. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, if the clerk would call the roll.
Councillor Croall.
Yes.
Councillor DeBona.
Yes.
Councillor Harris. Councillor LaForest. Councillor Liang. Councillor Palmucci.
Yes.
Chairman Finn.
Yes.
7 members.
Also pending in committee the most recent deliberation around Council Order 2017-136, which is an appropriation of $128,030 for the mayor's. Help me with the amendment here, Councilor. The mayor's office. What was for the purpose of the drug task force? The drug task force. So that came forward with a positive recommendation. With that, I move approval.
So I have a motion to approve, seconded by Councillor Palmucci. Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing that, if the clerk will call the roll.
Councillor Croall.
Yes.
Councillor DeBona.
Yes.
Councillor Harris. Councillor LaForest.
Yes.
Councillor Liang.
Yes.
Councillor Palmucci.
Yes.
Chairman Finn.
Yes.
6 members. Passes.
Are there any other further reports of committees? Seeing none. Presentations of petitions, memorials, and remonstrance. Chair recognizes Councillor DeBona. Oh, excuse me, could you please, DeBona?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know if this is the right time I just wanted to talk a little bit about the city of Quincy. We had the Arts Fest, the 20th annual. Are we on that department yet?
We'll let you go. Sure.
Okay, thank you. I just want to acknowledge that we had the 20th annual Arts Fest this past weekend over at Pageant Field. I thought it was great. I want to thank the Quincy Art Association and the Quincy Park and Recreation Department for putting on a great show. I've had a lot of compliments just walking around. People really enjoyed it. I took my kids there both days, Saturday and Sunday. This is a great service that we have for the city of Quincy, and the 20th annual, it was a free event. You could go and enjoy all the activities. There was a lot of things we could do there. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you to the Art Association and the Quincy Park and Recreation Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else in terms of petitions, memorials, and remonstrance? Chair recognizes Councillor Liang.
Thank you. In sort of in line with celebrations, I do just want to take a moment to congratulate Southfield Community Health Center. Eugene Welch received an award this past weekend celebrating their 45th anniversary. They've been in the city here for a long time. They are breaking ground on a new location in Malden. They're going to be lucky to have them. You know, South Cove is not just a facility where you go for healthcare services. They are a very active community member and very supportive of local events and other local nonprofits. They're supportive of the community in many ways, whether it's getting them insured, getting people registered for school. They really do it all. And so I just want to take a moment to congratulate them. And I know my colleagues have worked with them over the years and can attest to the fact that they are very strong community members, and we're very grateful for having them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further? I would just like... Is there any further? Okay. Oh, you're confusing me. I would like to, as many of you know, my wife Dolores lost her mom down in South Carolina. And I just really wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you to the council, to the council staff. And I also want to thank the mayor's office as well for their kind expressions of support during that time. It was deeply appreciated. So thank you. Motions, orders, and resolutions? Seeing none. Scheduling of committee meetings and public hearings. Now we're finally where we're supposed to be. Chair recognizes Councillor Liang.
Public awards, we have two items in front of us. Council Order 2017-153, Verizon over at Newbury Avenue, and 2017-154 with Mass Electric at Walnut Street. I'd like to schedule a public hearing for both of those matters on October 2nd, one at 7:20 and one at 7:25.
We have a motion to schedule a public hearing, seconded by Councillor Croall. All in favor?
Aye.
And we would also refer that to advertising as well. Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
Anything else in terms of scheduling of meetings and public hearings? Sorry.
Yes, I have one.
Chair recognizes Councillor Palmucci.
More like the clerk recognized me, but I'll take it.
Slow here.
Thank you. We will be having an oversight committee meeting on October 3rd at 6:30 p.m. And that'll be to discuss the regulations of the sober houses. I've planned a fun-filled evening of distinguished speakers to weigh in on the issue. I also, I'll leave some surprises out there, but no, if we could, if that works for most people, I'd like to go through it. As I said when I introduced that with Councillor LaForest and Councillor Hughes, it's becoming a real almost crisis point. The speed at which these are opening up in our residential neighborhoods without any type of regulation is concerning. So I want to get something on the books that is meaningful and well thought out, but also quickly. So that's why I'm having a meeting that night. I'd like to have the public hearing at the next council meeting, but I didn't know if we could put the public hearing on the agenda of the council meeting. Madam Clerk.
We have in the past put public hearings ahead of the agenda.
Right. So could we put the public hearing on the agenda? So could it be city council meeting 7:30, public hearing 7:50 within the meeting itself? Is there anything that would prohibit us from doing that?
Again, you're actually trying to publicize a specific time during the meeting, a time after the commencement.
Correct.
7:30.
Within the city council meeting. Maybe I'll talk to the president about it, but.
I would suggest, I've never seen that done, to be honest.
I don't know why you couldn't do it, but.
Well, again, I'm presuming that you're trying to get through a specific council agenda that, you have to stop at some point. Usually a public hearing you want to post where you're pretty certain the time is where you're going to do it.
So maybe we can do it before,
but just to be clear, I want to check though, with the Oversight Committee meeting of October 3rd, you were talking about here. These are people you've invited to speak to the issue specifically. It's not a public hearing.
It is not a public hearing. It'll be, I believe Senator Keenan's confirmed. Laura Martin will be here. I think a representative from MASH, the Massachusetts Alliance of Sober Housing, will be here. I'll invite somebody.
Got it. No, I get it. I just want to make that distinction. Thanks. That's helpful. But you'll work with the clerk and with the president around scheduling something.
Yep.
Thanks. Any further? Councilor Chair recognizes Councilor DeBona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also out of the Education Committee that I chair, I brought a resolution back in May. Actually, it was in March, and we actually had our first hearing on June 5th for Council Order 2017-40 on the resolve of the substance use hearings. We're going to finally going to have our public hearing on this on Tuesday, October 10th at 6:30. I would like to get some public input on more of the substance use opioid epidemic that we have facing the city. I'd like to get people, the public, come in and talk a little bit about it. And right after that, I'd like to have the meeting at 6:45. So Tuesday, October 10th at 6:30 for the public hearing, and then the meeting following at 6:45. I'd like to have Quincy Police, Quincy Fire, and Butcher Ambulance. The next tier, we already had Laura Martin in here from the Mayor's Substance Use Task Force. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any further scheduling needs to be done? Entertain a motion to adjourn. Meeting adjourned.